Hey, it's the girl Shensia with a message to you from myself and the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Shen Yang, everyone see wear a mask where the numbers drop. I don't want COVID, lay you down flat. Nose and mouth you fi cover up that. Oh oh, oh oh, sanitize or get hospitalized. Fight the virus and fight for your life, yeah. Nobody talk about say you no response no more. Don't be reckless, cause you test so you know have it. You can still get the virus from somebody. Don't be reckless, cause you test so you know have it. You can still get the virus. So keep the numbers down. Protect yourself and the people around. COVID in town, 6 feet apart and 6 feet in the ground. Keep the numbers down. Protect yourself and the people around. COVID in town, 6 feet apart and 6 feet in the ground. Stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive.
Full of flavor, no if or no maybe. Malta my crave on a daily. I couldn't ask for a better cold glass. Coffee can't pass from this. My Malta, my pocket with me. You know me got it with me. I feel have a buckle for myself. Yesterday the shop locked, so today me come back. 2 new flavors on the shelf. Me say me see it and me grab it and me love it and buy it. My mommy take it and she pull it and try it. She say Malta in the morning, afternoon or night. And she finish it, she don't need no help. Drink them all. Coffee or vanilla, the Jamaican original. Have it with me lunch and my dinner. Ginseng with the ginger make you settle and you simmer. Good for the baller and the singer. Make you feel good and it tastes real nice. Better when cool, so we put it on ice. Take a sip once, if you take a sip twice. Mother full of flavor for life. Mother full of flavor for life.
This month, our theme for Youth Month is Rethink Youth. Rethinking how we interact with our society, rethinking how our society interacts with us, and how we as youth are going to reposition Jamaica to recover as a better country for the next period outside of COVID.
Youth, rethink. Hello Jamaica and Happy Youth Month 2020. My name is Malik Hellier, Chairman of the Youth Advisory Council of Jamaica, and welcome to Youth Month. This Youth Month, we are called upon in this new normal or difficult time to weather the storm by being resilient through our networking, knowledge, and inspiring hope for all Jamaicans. This year, the Youth Advisory Council, as that group of young people working towards putting together policy so that we young people can have a seat at the table, bring to you a youth forum dedicated to discussing entrepreneurship, networking, and educational opportunities through this difficult divide. We stand together resolute, resilient, and ready. Happy Youth Month, Jamaica.
Hi, my name is Shamar Grant from the Jamaica Prefects Association, an organization that promotes leadership and excellence. As an organization, we believe in creating resilient youth. And now more than ever, we should encourage our youth to use their creative skills and their talents to be world changers in a changing world. Happy Youth Month.
Hi, I'm Rihanna Robinson, the National Public Relations Officer of the National Secondary Students Council. The NSSC is really the student-led umbrella organization governing all public secondary students' councils across the island. We are the premier student-led organization here in this country, as we represent over 300,000 students. In light of this current situation that we face now, we believe that youth need to be encouraged to be resilient. Practice and showcase your creative skills, showcase your talents. We believe that this Youth Month, youth need to rethink. That means you really need to sit back and meds what is going on so that you can effectively tackle this situation. You need to come different.
Hello everyone, I am Everton Ratcher, President of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students. The Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students is a resilient student organization. The coronavirus is presenting a very difficult problem that us as young people and as Jamaicans must solve. And how is it that the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students is helping to solve that problem? This month in particular, we'll be doing 2 activities. One, we'll be hosting the Youth in Entrepreneurship Summit, which gives young people the opportunity to look at how we can use entrepreneurship to create a more resilient Jamaica. And 2, we'll be hosting the Jamaica Student Leaders Summit. And the Jamaica Student Leaders Summit will create the post-COVID student leader. The student leader who is equipped with the necessary knowledge and skills and tools to function effectively through this pandemic. Us Jamaicans will get through this. Us young people will get through it.
For us to recover from COVID effectively, the youth have to be the center of the conversation. Hence why we have to rethink how youth are positioned within our society, not just within the minds of youth ourselves, but also in the minds of those we interact with. But it begins with you. It begins with youth. So I'm asking all youth in Jamaica, participate, engage, develop ideas, continue to be innovative so that we can build a strong country after COVID.
Rethink Youth.
All right, so welcome back. Welcome. Greetings, everybody. Greetings and peace, profound, positive vibrations, and positive sounds. I greet you well. The 25th of April. What a beautiful day it has been. Denise Johnson, big up yourself, no? Good to see you. Colin, big up yourself. Colleen, big up yourself. JJ Mac, I see ya. You are in the building. I see Philip Edwards is in the building. I know we're going to make some noise, right? So tell a friend, tweet a friend, call a friend, phone a friend, do whatever you got to do. Tell them we are on, we're live. The Chopping Black is back, they say, in full effect. So tell your friend, tell your neighbor, tell your uncle, tell your auntie, tell your niece to log on because we're back in full effect. The Chopping Black with yours truly. Chop. JJ Mack is in the building. Peter Mitchell is in the building. And the topic up for discussion, just a continuation from last week. We're looking at domestic violence. Part 2. The cause and effect. And we have two powerful people to help us get a better understanding of what is the cause and effect. Last week, we scratched the surface. And hopefully this week we can dig a little bit deeper into why we are where we are today, huh? So stick and stay with us. Share the link. Spread the word. Cornell 1, big up yourself. So we have with us this evening, we're going to have Dr. Sophia Langmore, Senator Langmore. She'll be in the building. When you get one doctor, you have to get two, right? Information nice, you played twice. We got also joining us this evening, Dr. Herbert Gale himself, the man with the info. He's going to join us in just a few minutes. So stick and stay with us. Share the thing. Tell a friend, tweet a friend, phone a friend, call a friend, tell a friend we're on, we're live. The Chopping Black is back in full effect. Larry Bond, I see you, my friend. Marlene Williams, good to see you, Marlene. Nadia Costley, good to see you as well. Beverly Nelson, welcome. All right, so it's going to be a very beautiful evening. When we get these two folks on, we have a lot to discuss. Dr. Safaria Longmore is going to join us in a few, and then we're going to have Dr. Herbert Gale. So as everybody knows, the topic is hot in the streets. It's hot everywhere. The whole matter of domestic violence and how we see it. Last week, we had a beautiful discussion with folks, and we explored some of the cause and effect. But this evening, I think what we want to do is to get more into the actual data. Now, Dr. Longmore wrote an article recently that didn't speak directly to domestic violence, but it spoke to neglect, child neglect. And when you really put those together, it actually contributes to domestic dispute. We're still trying to get Dr. Longmore here. She's not. I'll tell you what. Let's see. Let's try to get her in another way here. But we're still trying to get her on screen. But yeah, so her article, which a few weeks ago created some buzz in the space, and we wanted to get a feel from her because, of course, I have a slightly different view on that, though, because I think in her article she basically, she was saying that, look, men have a responsibility to ensure that the child is not being neglected, and the responsibility is actually on the father to ensure that there is no neglect. In other words, the father has the responsibility to make sure that the child is registered in his name. Now, that to me is an issue there. And that's the issue that we have to discuss with Dr. Longmore. She's going to be on in a second. We just sent her a new link to get her in, and she's going to be joining us in a quick sec. But that's not the only thing we're going to discuss. We're going to look. We're gonna look at another aspect of child abuse, not child abuse, but domestic dispute and domestic abuse in general, which is where Dr. Gale is going to be helping us out with some of the statistics, as he have done extensive research where that is concerned. Marlene, I see you. Basil Thompson, good to see you, my friend. Because one of the things that people don't understand, the high crime rate in Jamaica that we all complain about from time to time, that high crime rate is really coming from a lot of the domestic dispute that unsettled in homes. And what Dr. Gale has been saying, he's been making some connections, and I've been following some of his writings. He's been making some connection with slavery. He's been making some connection with parenting. And parenting, again, goes back to what Dr. Longmore spoke about in her article, where she expounded on the neglect of kids. And that is perhaps where the whole thing starts, when you have that single parent home, that could definitely contribute to some of the issues that we're facing. Now, I know a lot of people want to jump into, because we're talking about domestic dispute, everybody wants to look to the issues that bedeviled us now, which is the issue of videos that have been circulated with folks allegedly to be members of parliament. Now, we don't have any information to substantiate that, and that we're not going to deal with that particular issue. But we are going to go and look at the overall, because you see, one of the things that the misconception that we have in Jamaica is that dispute is just domestic dispute is just the dispute against women or violence against women. When you ask people what is domestic violence, I gather that most people in Jamaica have no idea what that is, because most people think that domestic violence is violence against women, and it's really not so, because violence is violence, whether it's against women, men, or child. It's just violence. Now, another serious fact that a lot of people don't know is that about 70% or 75% of violence or domestic violence is against men. It's kind of hard to believe those statistics, but it is the truth. A lot of the domestic violence in Jamaica is towards men, but because men are always suffering through silence, they don't say anything. You know, it's always it's sort of not the most sexiest thing for a man to go to the police and report the fact that he's being abused, whether it's financial abuse, whether it's physical abuse, or any abuse at all. It's one of the most difficult things to get a man to actually, man up and to say, hey, I've been abused. You're not going. It's just something that we're not going to do. We're not cultured that way. In Jamaica, men are cultured to be macho, to be men, man up. And you're laughed at, you're looked down at. If you ever make any attempt to report that you've been abused, whether by female or male, men just don't do it. But we're not going to delay much longer, because we have with us Dr. Safoya Langmore, who has joined us. Greetings.
Greetings.
Awesome. Good
Yes.
to have you.
Good to be here.
It's been a long time, Dr. Langmore.
Finally I reach on the block.
Yes, you made it to the block.
I made it to the block.
Thank you.
I'm trying to get my bearings right.
Yes, well, not a problem.
Okay.
Well, you know that this debate, as it relates to domestic dispute and domestic abuse, is been going on for quite some time.
Right. Yes.
Now, you've written an article some time ago that we wanted to discuss and to bring it to the fold. I mean, it has gotten some serious debate out in social media, and
Yes.
we've been wanting to talk about it for quite some time. But now that we have you here, that article titled "Neglect,"
the first crime.
The first crime.
Yes.
and I was presumptuous enough to want to put a spin on it and to say, look, it start a little bit further. And I've gotten some mixed reaction there. But let us first, Dr. Langmore, let us talk about your article. And first of all, welcome to the block. It's been a while. We've been trying to get you here, and we've managed this evening. So let's get into the meat of the matter, because we don't want to keep you up too late.
Right. Yes. It's still Monday night. Sunday night into Monday morning.
Right.
Right.
So your article. Let's get right into your article and your position on the whole issue of child neglect. How does that now morph into domestic dispute? Because it does have a correlation, right?
Oh, definitely. Well, I mean, the essence of my article came out of, I was spurred into writing it after the Indicom report came out around the juveniles who are in our correctional facilities, and what that kind of, in terms of seeking solutions. I firmly believe in us recognizing the issues for what they are, because only then are we really going to address them as we should. And I'm not into quick fixes. I'm into unearthing what the fundamental issues are, so we don't have a propagation of the problem, and we hopefully come with strategies that fix from the basal level what the problems are. Now, what we see and what I see in my practice as a psychiatrist, you have it listed that I'm a psychologist. I'm actually a psychiatrist. And there's a bit of a big difference in terms of the clinical experience of the psychiatrist versus the psychologist. And what I invariably have seen is that a lot of the kids, a lot of persons and the juveniles who tend to be very high risk, sorry, my hair is all over the place, who tend to be very high risk and who tend to end up with significant substance use issues, a lot of the behavioral issues, some of the severe mental illnesses like schizophrenia, bipolar, depression, especially the mood disorders, what we call the suicide and, well, the depression that ends up with suicidality, the bipolar disorders. What you find is that a lot of these issues are found in children who are from homes where child abuse in the form of neglect is present. And neglect is one that is not one of the more overt, because you don't see it physically. It's not a physical bruise, but it is so emotionally damaging, and the effect can be so far reaching. And not only is what we're seeing is the direct effect of the neglect itself, but also some of the measures that when parents are absent from a child's life, some of the measures that are put in place to see to that absence.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the grandmothers who have to be raising the children, the older siblings who have to be raising the children. You have the children being sent off to some aunties or some uncles. And these kids, unfortunately, can become victims of abuse from these same persons who are supposed to be caring for them. And so you have the inherent issue of the neglect itself, the absence of that very critical parental figure. Unfortunately, when you look at the neglect, significant amount is paternal, is from the father. And I am not I'm not casting judgment. My utterances and my interpretation is strictly for us to seek solutions. And what I see is that invariably a lot of men, a lot of males, one, are not sure sometimes about what a good father figure ought to be because they were not exposed to it, unfortunately. There is a generational effect that is coming down the line, what you call generational trauma. I mean, our men, the Jamaican society was at one time where men were used like prized bulls to breed, and a lack of emotional connection to the offspring was actually encouraged. You know, you're within our culture, there is a sense of there is a requirement almost, or a unspoken rule that the primary nurturer is the mother, when in fact it should be both. And parenting it requires that both individuals came to make this child. The ideal situation is that both are there to raise the child.
Yes.
And even if you have a discontentious situation between the parents, once a child is involved, that interaction between the parents, I personally think, and I think that is what has been proven by research, all should steer towards what should be healthy for the child. Mm-hmm. And the parents seek to resolve their issues external to that. Yeah.
Right. So or to be affected by that disconnect between the parents.
Right. So but, what you
go ahead.
Next now with the violence that we're seeing is that you have children, especially males, who are growing up without that proper role model, without that guidance, without that moral base, without that direction, easily prone. You have the breakdown of the family structure. A big link to our violence in our society is around gangs. The reason why gangs flourish is because it gives a sense of collectivity. It gives a sense of belonging. So when you don't have a home or a family that you can belong in, You're gonna see there are gonna be agencies that will pull them in.
It is the gangs, eh?
Into the gangs. You would then now have young boys who grow up usually in a single mother home, that they see this interaction, this relationship. A lot of times the fathers are just not present. So they grow up and think that that is what they're supposed to propagate. That is what they're supposed to do. The daughters who grew up in those relationships or in those situations, they grow up, and again, mothers tend to be emotionally drained. They tend to be frustrated. They tend to be under stress. They tend to have anger issues. And the daughters now absorb all of this too. And they themselves will grow up and believe that they don't have that sense of value as a woman to be valued as a man, and goes out there. And the cycle can continue and repeat itself in that way. There is many links between this, and I call it a crime.
Right, and that's where we have to dig into your brain to find out exactly, because you're saying that the first neglect is the first crime, is when you neglect your child. And neglecting a child, in most cases, based on what you have seen, is the man walking away from his responsibilities.
It is oftentimes that. Okay. And let me tell you, listen to me, I recognize the men who care for their children too. It's
Absolutely.
it is not casting. You have some fantastic dads out there, absolutely fantastic fathers, and I wish you put it high, and you should put it up high, and your children.
Absolutely.
I bring it to you this way, Chopper.
Yes.
If you are in a community and you see a child that has both parents in their life, I bet your bottom dollar that child will be one of the most successful children out of that community. Everybody around will, when you see a child who has both mother and father supporting them, the mother and father don't have to be together, you know. I'm not saying that it's a happy, wholesome home.
Right.
But actively has both parents involved in their life and in their development, and is there in good and bad times.
Well, I beg to differ, because I have traveled through some of the most dangerous inner cities, interact with people night and day, and I've seen situations where single parents, mothers alone, and in some cases fathers too, by themselves, will take care of a child, and that child done exceptionally well in school.
Yes. No, there's no doubt about that. You have
there's several cases that I could point to where the child grew up in a home where there's both mom and dad, and it turned out to be one of the worst criminals in the community.
Well, and I said in healthy relationship, and they have I'm gonna take you on that one, because invariably, if that child had parents who were doing the proper parental role from the first step out of legal wranglings, they would be reeled in by those parents.
So let me ask you a question. The young man.
But the question is, we're not looking at what is the success. We're looking at what is the negative.
Right.
And what I'm telling you, that is associated strongly with the negative outcome of a child. And that is strongly associated with persons who are predisposed to being perpetrators of violent activity, is the absence of that foundation of a family. And within that, it is usually the absence of the father. All right? You have absence of the mother too.
Yes, but I think the father play a more critical role in terms of, holding the fort together, holding the family together. As a matter of fact, both parents are important.
Yes.
But my thing is, though, you get the feel, Doc, and it's prevalent in society. You get the feel that men are more prone to not being a part of the family, to walk away, to neglect, to commit the first crime, according to you.
Which is unfortunate and which is sad. Because you see, what you know, we keep comparing the Jamaican society to other societies that are much older than us.
Yes.
We're a small country, but we have big ambitions, and our aspirations are such that we don't recognize. So we's just a little young society. Generally, in the big, we compare ourselves to the Scandinavian countries, the USA, the China. When you look at the family structure in those societies, you cannot compare the Jamaican situation with it, because it is invariably generations that separates where we are in this present moment. And what we are going through, we're coming out of we're significantly still impacted, I think, by some post-colonial isms and schisms and interactions, and we are now coming into our own. And I think that one of the things that is happening in Jamaica is that there is a social awareness. The violence and the activities that have been a result of the very negative practices that we have embraced for so long is almost culminating now. And we're now stepping back and really analyzing how we interact in our society, because we are now kind of hit in the face with the level of heinous acts that we're seeing.
So
I mean, when you see a father shoot his son, the same day that a grandmother was killed by her or the same week that a grandmother was killed by her granddaughter. Something is fundamentally wrong, where within our family, our base unit, where we're supposed to feel the most secure, you have these tendencies to not trust, to not have value, to not recognize that there may be need to have a better means of communication that relates that when I disagree with you, it don't mean that I hate you for life.
Right.
That
right.
we need to address these issues. We need to, this is where we're culminating, and we're taking that kind of situational analysis right now.
So Doc, when I go on the streets, I go on the little corner, I go to the little corner shop. I don't drink, I don't smoke, but I hang out because I like listening to the people on the ground.
Right.
And I like to strike up these conversations. For example, when your article came out, I try to have conversation with people to get a feel of how people feel. And I said, boy, Dr. Langmore said, the first crime committed, I want to commit it, because I walk away and leave the responsibility. How that go? And people take me on now. I said, sit down, that's what me tell you what the real deal. And folks will say to me that, look, if you call it the first crime, we are not the perpetrator of the first crime. A man said to me, he said, look here, I walk away from 2 kids because the 2 kids were not mine. They were given my name, but they were not mine. How do I be held accountable for 2 kids who were not mine? I walk away. So you cut off my head is not my pitney. That's a real talk I get on the streets, you know.
So yeah, but that excuse that, and I say it excuse that in my honest opinion of that situation, a mother, anybody can argue say enough for me picnic. Anybody, right? A mother cannot argue that because she give birth. So there is this. Okay. Now, if you as a man engage with a woman in a way that a child is possible, if it's not possible, I can't feel picnic. If you engage with a woman in a manner in which it is possible, and you are being questioned, and your paternity of that child is being questioned,
yes,
it is your responsibility as a man to ascertain whether that child is definitely yours. If you are in doubt, you go, the technology is soft, we can get DNA results within 2 weeks.
So Doc, let me ask a question.
That argument don't, because what it gives me is that there is a set basis on which we can just say, oh well, you know, say Elisha telling enough me pick me and blah blah blah, and that no, in that one argument against the mother, the child suffers.
And I agree, and that's a problem.
Chopper, my objective is not to help a man who is questioning the paternity of his child. My objective is helping an innocent child
so let me
who is to deal with all of this baggage that is unresolved between two adults who probably were not responsible enough because they realized that they didn't realize the consequences that may result. Now, when the child born, you are whoever engaged is possibly the person.
If the woman had a relationship with 4 different men, which is not far-fetched, not impossible.
Right.
What are you saying? Is that the 4 men have a responsibility?
Yes.
To go, really?
Yeah.
So where's the woman's responsibility in all of this?
Pardon?
Where's the woman's responsibility in all of this?
The woman's responsibility is to point out, if she can narrow it down and say who it is. That is who she must go to. If she can,
you're killing me.
No, but listen, I'm not advocating that she go and call all 4 persons in a room and say, all right, listen now. Are the 4 around 4 of them were in the room when it happened? All right. Now, if it's that the situation, well, she can continue the fun and call all 4 in one room and just do the DNA test one time. But if you are juggling, come on, Chopper. I mean, the fact is that we all know that how some people function and how some people flex.
Yes.
Now, if you have a child, I go back to saying that the paramount, you engage in sexual activity.
Yes.
The primary purpose for sex as human beings is propagation. Is propagation, is continuity of the species. Let's be adults. This is what it is. But invariably, we are not engaging in sex in that way and with that responsible outcome.
Right.
And that, by the way, is a whole nother focus that I am on in terms of sexuality and our sexual health. That's a whole nother kettle of fish. That's even deeper than this issue.
Right.
And even more fundamental. But it is, and that is a mark of manhood.
Yes. To step up.
That is a mark of manhood. Wherever you go, possibly plant your seed.
Yes.
You're supposed to do that to help water it and make it grow.
I understand and agree, you know.
Plant your seed in a particular garden, and the gardener come to you and say, boy, the mango tree of you, you know. No, your responsibility. Your responsibility to know if it is yours. That is the primary purpose. Why are you going to shift? There's no question that the woman wants. Why are you going to shift behind the guys that she is deceitful and she give a bun and she run battery or whatever? I mean, I don't know if you know how them say it again. Right? But why are you going to punish the child?
No, without punish, it's not about punishing the child.
It's not chopper. What it is not chopper. That same color that you saw.
Yes.
That said to him walk well left 2 picnic.
Yeah, sometimes.
How long ago walk well left them 2 picnic there?
The picnics, the kids finally, after he walked away, I think finally the child knew what the mother finally gave the child to the correct dad.
Okay, but my point is this: how long is it justified to use that as an excuse?
But
if you know,
and I'm struggling.
2 picnic out there possibly mine. Every 3 months down the road, you say the same thing. 6 months down the road, you say the same thing. 1 year down the road, you say the same thing. You don't think you are supposed to ascertain whether that, those 3, 6, and 1 year down the road, that child, every single day that passes, that child is being damaged?
Yes.
And all you can do is trump your chest and say, enough for me picnic because whatever. That's not manhood.
No, but
That's not being a man.
see, I've been struggling with this particular argument ever since you wrote about it. Because the truth is, I believe that men in general have a responsibility to step up. But here's where I have the difficulty.
Parents have a responsibility,
yes.
Chopper.
But here's where I have the difficulty, Doc.
Mm-hmm.
It's when the little guy said to me, boy, I found out that she have 3 other men.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And now she's telling me that she's pregnant for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the other man around the corner, she's probably pregnant for him too.
So tell me something. How many of those men also probably have 5 other women?
Yeah, I'm not disputing that.
Yeah, so come on. Adult business we're talking about. And this is what I'm saying, that it is rather frustrating to constantly hear this argument. It is redundant.
Right.
There is a child involved. To heck with you and your ego about whatever.
Okay, so I agree with you because
it has nothing to do with your responsibility and possible responsibility to the picnic.
All right, and I agree with you
because you and the mother.
Now that we remove the two parents or possible parents from the conversation and narrow down on the child, now you get my attention in a different way. Because now I have to look at it from the child perspective, because we are here to protect the child.
Give thanks.
And I have to agree with you on that. But like I said, it was a struggle for me. No.
I think just to be fair too, remember one of the things that perpetuated that was that thing that came out of the paternity testing lab. And
76%. I boast about all the time.
Yeah, no, but you know that they also issued basically a disclaimer.
I know.
Along the lines that sample is skewed because it is from persons who are already questioning the paternity. This is not a reflection. It is not a reflection of persons generally in the society.
I don't know if that is clear either, because
it is clear. I was on a radio program.
I know. I listened to the
talking about the same thing. And one of the ladies, one of the directors from the lab itself called in.
Yes.
And made sure to underscore that and endorsed my position on it and said, Dr. Longo, you are very right. That is not a reflection of the society. It is a highly skewed sample because it would be from persons who were already questioning the paternity. Now, I put it to you.
Yes.
That in those circumstances, because that paternity test is usually brought up because of immigration issues. Most of the time, the women are trying to pin a jacket and I go tailor, try sew jacket and suit.
So
because they try to get them into a future where they might have a father we're having papers.
That's not true. That's not true. In most of those cases, and I listened to the lady, the director from the paternity lab. I listened to her that day because I listened to your presentation on that talk show that evening or afternoon. The persons who got tested, are persons who were living together. The other half migrate to the States and is getting ready now to bring everybody up. That is what we know. We grew up. Look here, this is not something new, We grew up knowing that this is a fact. Where a man live with a woman for 15 years, 20 years, and they have 3 or 4 kids. And by the time they get to the United States, go up on farm work and they run off for the run off and get them papers and get ready now to take the kids up. And because of the United States rules and regulations, they have to do a paternity test. And in a lot of cases, out of the 4 kids, only 1 can come.
Yes, and the fact is, Chopper, why do women have to be going through this? You think a woman goes through and tries to do what fuels this? You know why women, and you go back now to the domestic abuse.
Dishonesty.
Why women oftentimes have to find enough man to try use their womanhood to hold.
But why?
Finances.
Why? Is it greed?
Finances.
Can I tell you why? in recent weeks, or probably a couple of weeks ago, and I know you're not a stranger to what happens on social media. You're very much in tune. And you must have heard.
Not as much as you might think.
I know you would have come across the presentation from a very popular talk show host and her conversation as it relates to how female should go about dating and what they should look for and not look for.
Yeah, but that is your perspective. That doesn't say that it is right. Just like how my perspective is mine. I'm not saying that I am a tad bit on the qualified side to probably be talking about interpersonal relationships and behavior.
Right.
And human behavior, because I am qualified in that.
In other words, you are dealing with it not based on your opinion, but you're bringing some level of expertise to it.
Exactly.
So when you say it comes...
I see a comment here. Let me just clarify this. Kelly says it's her responsibility to give the child to the right father. Absolutely right.
There
yes, it is. There's no question about that.
Right. So
but when you have the situation, the reality that you're sleeping with 2-3 persons, you might point on the wrong person. But the fact is that that person who gets pointed on, if he knows that it is a possibility, what am I gonna do?
So
what is the manly thing to do?
So you're treating it like a criminal case where somebody point you out in an ID parade, saying that you are one of the persons who commit a crime, and you now have the force now to defend yourself.
Well, it depends on if you were in the store when the crime was committed and you were waving a gun, and you were also probably in the vicinity and explicitly using the same words that were used by the robber. Because if you have sex with somebody, there's only one way somebody can get pregnant. So if you had sex with the person, it is possible.
Yes. But
so it's not like a lineup. Because a lineup could be potentially innocent people.
But
the fact that you had intercourse and you had sex with the person means that it is possible.
Doc, we're gonna take a quick 30-second and come right back, because I'm still struggling, you know. I've gotten over a little part of it, but
this conversation, hopefully, Chopper, is about solutions.
And that is where I want to go with you when I come back. We're going to look at some solutions, because we're digging deep into the cause and all that good stuff. Now we need to start.
Yeah, and there's so much you can dig there.
Absolutely. And we're still waiting on Dr. Gale. He's going to join us in a few minutes. So stick and stand by. We'll be right back.
You can be anything you want in a life, and where you come from, and where your mindset there. Look on me, now we come from the yard of the ghetto, wanna represent the brand Pepsi. Hey.
Yeah, we're doing it for the love. So good here we can't get enough. Every taste, every vibe, every kick in a hit, I can rise up above.
For the love of taste, I can.
For the love of self-expression, I can. For the love of standing out, I can.
For the love of myself, I can.
For the love of moving people, I can.
For the love of my country, I can.
Jamaican, I can. Jamaican, I can. Jamaican, I can. Proud to be a Jamaican.
Hi, my name is Sonoya Boros, and together with my husband, Brenton, we started an online children's store called Shop 876 Kids. We pride ourselves in carrying the widest variety of children's items, including room decor, baby supplies, educational supplies, clothing, and every child's dream, the hottest and latest toys. Our ultimate dream for this business is to become the #1 resource for children's items in Jamaica, and dare I say the Caribbean. But you know, they say if your dream doesn't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough. Through my research, I found out about Sagicor Bank Payment Gateway Solutions, and I used it for my business because they had the best rates, excellent customer service, and they're a safe and reliable platform for my customers to use. COVID-19 has certainly changed our lives, but out of adversity comes opportunity. Look at me, pharmacist turned web developer turned website owner. Look for that need and supply that service or product.
My name is Noel Chang. I'm a constable attached to the Mobile Reserve Division and the JCF SWAT team. I've been a member of this team for 2 fulfilling years. The training, of course, would have helped me to grow as well. I find it to be very fulfilling playing an active role in the crime fight and in developing my nation. Join the JCF and start a career.
Domestic conflicts are not ignored by the Jamaica Constabulary Force, as they can result in serious injury or death.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I am Constable McIntyre, along with Constable Pierce. We received a telephone call re a domestic dispute at this location. Are you okay, ma'am?
Just me and my husband. We had a dispute. I was asking him some questions and he got all upset on me.
Yo, when I tell you to stop stressing me out, you're not here, you're not listen.
In these situations, we make sure that all parties involved are unharmed and prevent the situation from continuing or escalating. It's also our duty to inform the disputing parties that counseling is available to prevent a recurrence of the situation. If there is any evidence of harm to anyone, the police have a duty to commence an investigation. Help us to keep you safe. The Jamaica Constabulary Force, a force for good.
All right, so welcome back, folks. In case you're just joining us, we have with us Dr. Safoya Langmore, and we have Dr. Herbert Gale, who is getting ready to come on with us to join us. Dr. Langmore, we dig a little bit into your writings and the cause and effect and all that good stuff. Now, the question, that still bedeviled us is, we've been suffering from this for quite a while. What are some of the solutions, though, especially for the whole child neglect aspect of it?
Boy, Chopper, I mean, this is just my personal opinion here, and I came on this being with full awareness that my professional capacity, psychiatrist, but also a government senator. I am hoping that I can stir and steer the conversation, because it is clearly much bigger solutions are required than just conversation. And in my mind, when it comes to violence in our society and stemming the contributing factors to violence in our society, we have to take immediate action with respect to some issues. We have to put in medium-term action, and we have to put in long-term. There's no quick fix, because the cause did not happen quickly. This is not something that happened overnight. This is something that is generational accumulation, decades of signs and presentations of what we're seeing now. It is not no. So the solutions also have to have a long-term application too. One of the things that I envision is incentivizing parenting, incentivizing the presence of fathers in their children's lives. I mean, we're smart people. We can encourage it. And where matters in our lives here is in our finances too, because at the end of the day, there's a little adage that says, money can't make you happy, but we also have to recognize that it can make you comfortable in your misery.
The lack of it will make you definitely unhappy.
And it takes cash to care.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the truth. And this is one of the indoctrinations that we need to come into some reality with, about that we are driven by a financial world, and it matters. And we need to make sure that our children are provided for, that means that you have to incentivize that approach. Let us do so, because the family unit is in need. The family unit, the family structure in Jamaica is significantly lacking. You know, I was on call, Chopper was on call because I'm a consultant at the University Hospital. And I was on call. And I had to field a case of a 12-year-old. There was a 7-year-old case, and there was a 12-year-old case. A 12-year-old that was being sexually molested by her grandmother. By her grandmother. Something is fundamentally wrong, that's all. And what? The parents having issues that so them have to go, them have to leave picnic with grandmother. And grandmother is yeah? There is, because of conflict, so the child is displaced from the primary source of protection and put into a vulnerable position, because you don't know what you know, I don't want to go into the specifics of the case, right?
Right.
And we're seeing family members. So we need to enable and encourage family functioning. We need to enable and encourage communication in families. And it's almost like we need to teach Jamaicans how to appreciate that we can have a disagreement, we can have an argument, we can have a difference of opinion.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that we hate each other for life. It doesn't mean that carnal desire to not want to further engage with the individual. One of the things too is that we probably need to be exposed more to the good in life, to the positive things. One of the things that I significantly practice in my work is positive psychology. My glass is always half full.
Right.
No matter what is going on in a circumstance, if you have two people are arguing, the reason why they're arguing is because their connection is so strong that it elicits that level of argument between them. They care enough to argue that much. We can turn it around somehow.
So Doc, you mentioned something a while ago which is really important, because having lived in a first world country and recognize that the incentive, one of the biggest incentive, is for persons who are married and who have a married situation going on. You have better access to just about everything. Are you saying that would be a route that you think Jamaica should
I think it is something for us to definitely consider. I think it is something that we almost need to this is remember I told you about the societal age.
Yes.
And where we are compared, and we're comparing ourselves now at this level to other societies that have gone through and have put in mechanisms,
right,
culturally, legislatively, and otherwise, to see to the family unit being encouraged and being propagated. We need to start really looking at these things.
Right.
We need to start looking to say, boy, are we going to, since we have an issue with the men being present, are we going to specifically incentivize that?
Right.
Are we going to legally, legislatively require their presence? Because it is a crime.
No, that's a part of it. That's the one thing that really missed me though, that you have not mentioned, in all of that criminal allegations being leveled at the man who walk away. Until now, said the woman have the responsibility yet,
I did say that. No, don't say that. I did say that. I did say that. I said that the woman has the responsibility. The woman, no. As a mother now, as a mother, you have the responsibility to find out who the father of that child is.
Yeah.
Now, if you were basically going around and doing your thing with multiple persons, you must know who you can point to
But
when.
that's not okay. That act there, which is what caused us to be where we are now in terms of the neglect. That particular act with you sleeping around, that woman sleeping around with various.
So men don't sleep around too.
Yeah, but let
Why
us
are
be.
you this is not, the fundament is almost like I go back to I don't care about man and woman sleeping around. That's a different issue. That is sexuality issue. That is commitment issue. That is fidelity issue. That is people who mixing up love and know and inexperience and there's a whole. When a child comes in the picture,
Yes,
the child becomes the priority.
I agree.
Everything else in my mind is secondary.
Yes, but if a crime has been committed, and if the man is being held to account, the woman must have some responsibility here.
All right, let me put this first. The headline of the paper, the headline. In no part of the article did I say a crime.
No, you didn't say that. Absolutely not.
The headline is what the editors use.
Yes, that's their sensitized. Yes.
That is the effect.
Yes.
So if there is a crime on the woman's part, it would be in the circumstance where she probably illegally would pin something on the man of support for years and years and years. I mean, that theoretically, yes, there is a crime there. I'm not going to deny that. But I am about the solution to prevent going down that road.
Colleen Williams is saying that she thinks that the woman, once she starts having sex with more than one partner,
yes, it is.
It is her job.
I am agreeing with you too. I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that it is a woman's responsibility. Now, if a woman in that responsibility, if she was sleeping with 4 men, now for your responsibility if you tell the 4 of them they must go get the DNA check. Unless she knows that she can narrow it down herself. It's her responsibility.
So we're going to have an ID parade down there.
It is also all 4 of them who were engaged in that way to also ascertain whether that they are the father.
But Doc, you don't see that particular action there with the woman sleeping around and now has to go through 4 different men. Don't you see where that is actually contributing to some of the domestic violence?
Of course, I'm not denying that. I didn't say that it doesn't.
No, man, I'm not saying that you did it. I'm just
but I go back to the issue. If a woman is, and Chopper, I tell you are taking your conversation all over the place now, because now you want to talk about why you want to talk about infidelity and the reasons why men cheat, or why women cheat, or why men sleep around, or why women sleep around. That's a whole nother conversation.
No, man, it's not the sleep around part of it. The part that I'm saying is, why do we have this high level of domestic violence? Could it be that particular action there, where a woman now sleeps with 4 men and have to now narrow it down in order?
Well, I can tell you that. I can tell you also that one of the significant causes of domestic violence that I have heard when a man and woman business, quote unquote, man and woman business, is when a woman decides that she wants to end the relationship and the man is not violent.
That is true. Right? That is true.
So I go back to saying to you that is a different conversation when you're talking about fidelity within a relationship, and why some persons may decide. If a woman is happy in a relationship, if she'll get everything she wants from one man,
she won't cheat.
Everything she wants,
she won't cheat.
I don't see it. If a man is getting everything he wants from one woman,
yes,
he won't cheat either.
I don't think so.
Right.
So
what I'm saying is that we are looking at the issue, and that conversation is a different conversation.
I agree.
And for women, unfortunately, a lot of the times they sleep around with multiple partners.
Because
they are under financial stress. That is the sad truth.
I think that is an excuse, you know that.
No.
Yeah.
Well, if you
a
want
lot
to
of it is greed.
If you want to say that,
If man can only afford to buy you a 5-inch wig or weave, why you should go sleep with another man to get you? Doc, I disagree. That's an excuse.
But also, no, I'm not saying it. This is not an opinion of mine, by the way.
Yes.
This is data.
Yes.
The underline, one of the most significant abusive situation that women go through is financial abuse. And it happens at all levels of the socioeconomic ladder.
Dr. Longmore, I know you don't have a lot of time with us.
It is one of the reasons
yes,
that infuriates some men to the point of significant violence. When a woman decides to assert herself in that way. So financial matters, if you want to liberate women out of domestic abuse, enable them financially.
Well, I know you don't have a lot of time with us, and I don't want to keep you beyond your bedtime because I know Monday is back. But I have Dr. Gale, Dr. Herbert Gale is here. And he is a man with some of the statistics because he's a well-known researcher, and he would have dug deep into some of these numbers that we're here trying to figure out. Dr. Gale.
Hi, my brother. Evening.
Hi, Dr. Gale.
Doc. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thank you.
All right, so Dr. Gale, we have, as you see, we've gone deep into the conversation here, and we get you in at the right time when we're now trying to justify some numbers here, and we've been back and forth. As you know, Dr. Longmore wrote a piece some time ago in the newspaper a few weeks ago about the first neglect is child neglect. The first crime is child neglect, and once you walk away from your child, we've been here back and forth, and because she believes that the responsibility of the man, it's a man's responsibility to ensure that he figures out whether or not
it is both parents' responsibility to know their role in that child's life.
Right.
It is both potential parents. You cannot argue about who the mother is, and if there's an argument against the father, it is her responsibility to identify the possible ones. And it is their responsibility to confirm or deny whether or not that is so. That is my opinion. So both
have a responsibility.
That baby have that responsibility to that child.
Yeah, but if the father is not identified, how does he become a responsible partner in there?
Well, then the woman has lost her responsibility. That's my point. It is a mother's responsibility to indicate who the father may be.
And she has 4 partners.
Yes.
You see where the argument is going, Dr. Gale?
I'm listening.
So the article basically, what Dr. Longmore is saying and what we've been arguing about, which I hope you will give us a good, well, at least I do, because I'm the unlearned one here. Both of you are qualified to speak on that issue. I'm not. My understanding from Dr. Longmore's article is that the man has a responsibility when
that is not don't project what I did not say.
No, I said my understanding.
No. My article relates to one of the significant contributing factors to children and to situations that are high risk for violence and a negative life outcome. And significantly associated with that is paternal neglect.
Right.
The absence, what we call father hunger. It is a sociological term.
Paternal neglect.
How recognized it is father hunger, where you see individuals who hunger for the presence of their fathers in their lives. I did not at any point, say that the responsibility is solely for the father to ascertain his paternity. My stance is that once two adults engage in sexual activity that could result in a child, they are both responsible for the parenting of that child.
I agree. But if the father is not identified, how do you hold him accountable?
What do you mean? But the issue is not about the father not being identified, Chopper. This is that the father is not present. Who's responsible?
He's not present because he's not his child.
If you sleep with a woman.
Yes.
If you sleep with a woman and you see her pregnant.
Yes.
And you know, so it could be yours. You're quite.
I said I use a condom. I said it's not mine. I did use a condom.
Yes. So if she come to you and she said, boy, Chopper, you know, sir, the picnic at the time and everything, and you are picnic, you know. She has identified you.
Right.
And you're gonna say, well, the condom broke and on my picnic. You're happy with that.
No, I'm saying
you have fulfilled your role as a man.
No.
Okay.
No. Right. In that case, but I'm saying when there are multiple men involved.
It don't make a difference, boss. It don't make a difference. If you slept with the lady, you slept with the woman. You slept with the woman.
Whose responsibility is it? Woman or man? Is it the man's responsibility to step up and ensure that he's not the father? Or is it the woman's responsibility to ensure that the child is given the correct father?
So, if a woman is sleeping with 4 people,
yes,
in your scenario,
yes,
how is she? She have a DNA test that she can know that the one?
She don't have a DNA test, but
so how you gonna know for sure if you sleep with 4 people?
But if we're looking at the neglect and if we're looking at the issue and the problem and cause, the problem would be at the initial stages, you know, where that multiple partner comes in.
Chopper, the point is that the child is present. The child had nothing to do with the mother's decision to sleep with 4 potential persons. That had nothing to do with the child.
So, but it has to do with the father, though. Now.
It has nothing to do with the child. My concerns are about the child. The adult them can take care of themselves.
I agree with you.
As an advocate, what I advocate for is for the child and that child's role in the society. The other 2 people them and or other 5 people them, they're adults. Them can sort out them issue. Me want to make sure so the picnic is good.
I'm not going to fight you on that one, you know. We're waiting to get connected back with Dr. Gale because I'm dying to hear his take on this whole matter. Who is really responsible? Dr. Gale, welcome back.
Thank you, my brother. All right. So I think that I'm going to assume that the question is who is responsible for a child?
Who is responsible as it relates to a child who, in most cases, 3 or 4 fathers, you know, could be involved potentially. Who is responsible?
All
is
right,
it the 4 fathers?
All right. Let's just begin by looking at the situation.
I think Dr. Gale is freezing up there a little bit. Try and see if we can get him figured out.
Mr. West, listen, I am not going to stay here and make
I know.
Project. At no point did I say ever that it is a father's responsibility. It is a shared responsibility between 2 potential parents to play the role and to identify their role in a child's life.
And I agree. Right? That is your position on the issue. But listen to how it is being interpreted out there.
No, that is your interpretation. No. That's your interpretation. A lot of people. No. That is your interpretation. That is your interpretation because my article and what I wrote was stemmed at recognizing whether or not or what can we do to address this issue. There comes a time, a marker for adulthood for me, you know, Chapo. An adult is not by age for me.
Right.
An adult is by stage. And it is when somebody recognizes that the ills that happen in the back of them life is what happened back then. And when they're going forward, they are now going to chart their way forward.
Correct.
So that's why some 11-year-olds who have to raise their 5 siblings are more adults than some 45-year-olds who sit down playing dominoes every day. Right? Or just, no, I shouldn't say play dominoes, as I love to play dominoes too, but who have no sense of responsibility. Right? So it is not about a blame game, it is solutions.
Right. I agree with you. So Dr. Gale is back.
All right, let me try again. I don't know what's been happening. All right, but the issue of fatherhood and father responsibility in Jamaica is rarely ever discussed fairly, and that's part of the irritation for persons who are a little bit more on the scientific side and wish to look at it objectively. The first problem we have to look at is, why would a woman end up with so many baby fathers? I think the record we saw on the radio when we had our Friday Frolic was a woman had 5 baby fathers for 3 children. So there's a culture. That was a very sad. That was a very sad Friday.
I'm trying to figure out the maths here.
That was a very sad. But there's a project we've been working on called urban polyandry. Polyandry, of course, meaning a woman has more than one man, and meaning that the situation. Polyandry is only practiced in a situation where a senator was explaining to you the primary reason for a woman having multiple partners is actually money. And 71% of all domestic violence, whether it's between partners or not, once it's within the family, is about money. It's usually about money or property. Okay,
Yep.
Not the conversations that we hear about power and all of these different things. It's usually about money. I'll give you a quick example. 1994, Claudette Pius, Barry Evans, Joe Ruglas, all of us tracking a community, won't name the community, but a community that has a port nearby. And when the ships are in port, there is zero domestic violence. As soon as the ships are leaving, just when the ships are leaving, the women will walk the streets and take the men off the gambling Ludo board and the domino board and kick over the board and throw water on them, and the fight start. So if you understand that a woman is the primary frame of the human species is actually very female, right? You understand that as a primary nurturer, irrespective of how we may want to address a woman who has so many men, her primary responsibility is to ensure that food reaches the mouth of her children. Now, this is not a socialization. You don't need to socialize any woman. Once she's born, she's going to have the DNA to know that she's a nest maker and that the children within her care, even the ones she adopts from next door, must eat food. And in a case of immense scarcity, largely, Chopper, you are reduced to that. Let me just say that again. In a sphere in which everybody is employed and there's no food insecurity, you will be treated as a man and a human being. In a situation where there's immense food scarcity and she operates at the primal level, there's going to be urban polyandry because she has to manage food. All right. So while a man has 4 responsibilities, which would be protection, provision, being a male nurturer, and being a role model, a woman has 1 solid responsibility: ensure that Chopper and the children are okay. So even when you have a cola and so forth and start to behave like you're 5 years old again, that's her responsibility. Her responsibility is the well-being of everybody in the family. So quite often when we discuss families from a scientific point of view, people walk away with their one-liners and get emotional without understanding what we've been saying, because they come with an agenda and they leave with the material to fit their agenda and make the scientist into an ogre. But the bottom line is, the more you study urban polyandry, is the more you understand that women have to work out rationally what is happening. So Chopper and myself, let's say there's a woman who has a child for both of us. All right, you earn $100,000. I earn $100,000. We give her $25,000 each, but she has worked out that the children actually need $50,000 each. She therefore needs 2 extra men, and she works it out. And let me give you the hardcore reality. When I was sent in 1990, I'm trying to remember, no, 1996 to Guyana to do the research that became Learning to Be a Man, published by Barish Evans. What we found was that the African women who practiced better polyandry in poverty-stricken Guyana, not in the wealthy side, that their children had better fighting chances than the Indians who culturally were restricted to having a single man. So having more than one man meant that John, who would be the child of that woman, would have a greater fighting chance of coming out of poverty than one who restricts you to a monogamy, right, in which you are locked in within a frame of patriarchy. So we found that patriarchy within poverty simply does not work. Patriarchy only works when men have money. Once you don't have money, it means that the woman is going to have to determine how much of an ATM machine you are or how much of a human being you are. It's the hardcore facts. These are the hardcore facts. And people get emotional and jump up and as if they're in church. But the truth of the matter is that the human species the responsibility of the survival of the human species rests in the hands of women. It doesn't rest in our hands. Right? And that is just simply how it goes. That is why urban polyandry works.
And Dr. Gill, yes. I just wanna bring another side to this. You watch Mother's Day. Right. You guys don't realize that Mother's Day is fast becoming almost like Christmas.
Oh yeah, it's a business.
Big deal.
Yeah,
big deal.
Because in the midst of all of the negative, the Jamaican mother and the mother that goes through these sacrifices, the children recognize.
Even the bad mothers are being recognized too.
The children recognize the efforts. They recognize the sacrifices that the mothers a lot of times have to make.
May I suggest humbly that is also part of the application of communication skills. A woman's communication skills is the neuropeptic centers for communication in a female's brain literally have a broker headquarters. Chopper John could try all he wants. He cannot out-persuade the children to save money. In fact, 60% of good fathers, the children come to them for money to buy them gifts for Father's Day.
But I'm bringing something now. I'm bringing something now because in that respect, we're starting the conversation and it's stirring. One of the primary roles that a father has in the family unit is usually stemmed around the morality and the moral values. It is the father that is usually the one that is used as the threat to discipline. It is the one that is usually one that sets the standards as to how the family functions and engages in terms of their connectivity with the community, etc. The moral base is very significantly from the paternal role, just like how the primary maternal role and what you just said, Dr. Gale, of that inherent feminine role in that family. The masculine and the male role is very significantly linked to the morality and the moral base. And that, in the absence of that within the family structure, is why we are probably seeing so much of the violence, and it's almost like Jamaicans don't value life anymore.
Right, but
because the moral base is absent, that guide.
Yes, the male nurturing, but I want us to hasten to step back a little bit from this reliance on monocausality, because most people I hear discuss father presence or absence in Jamaica, discuss it within a monocausality. I want to give you a little bit of, as in they think it is a major factor and they ascribe more pressure onto that one factor, when
No, man.
violence is actually very complicated.
Multiple.
Right. So I want us to look at the data, because what the data are showing is that the more fathers you have in Jamaica is the more violent we are. Take your time, because this is deep waters. In 1948, in the two reports done in 1948 and 1949, the two reports, they show an estimate that 18% of Jamaican children birthed to 8 years old would have had a father presence. 18%, just 18%. And the homicide rate at that point would have been 4 per 100,000. All right. So by 1981, we would have had 31% of children having a father in their home. And by 2014, the data would be showing you 42% of Jamaican children having a father in their home. And the violence has been escalating. What it suggests is that father presence, it cannot be that the more fathers you have in your home, right, the more violent you become, which is why I made a nonsense statement at the very beginning, because it is nonsensical. But what it does show is that for those persons who go down to GP and take 100, and I'm not trolling anybody, because there are some people who've actually done this nonsense. They go down to GP or go to some prison and interview 100 men, always 100 men, because it's easy analysis. and then 60 out of them who've committed murder, or 70 out of them who've committed murder, says, I had no father. Because remember, people say what society teach them. Any garbage you teach people, it becomes part of what is called prior knowledge. So Chopper could wake up one morning and say, I'm hungry and I'm going to be hungry for the next 2 weeks because somebody tell him that every day, but it's absolute garbage. But that's how humans are. So what they do, they interview 100 men, and the 100 men, and the bulk of the 100 men said they had no father, which is why they had killed. All right? But that is not how research is done. Research is not done by asking the respondent to analyze their lives for you. Good research is done by you, the researcher, doing the analysis. So this is what happens. If you then ask them, where's your mother? You will also find the same story. Did you know that the average young male who's killed someone has neither mother nor father? The human species actually only, in order for Chopper to be a stable human being, you need to be connected to at least one stable parent. All right? So let us take the highest performers.
Sorry, let me correct that. Not necessarily one stable parent, one stable individual.
That person would be considered a parent.
Yeah.
The word parent is not biological in this context.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Okay.
Right. So in order for a human being to be stable, they need to be connected to one stable parent. How do we know this as a scientist? We ask you to score your mother or your father out of 10. Any young man, especially, who scores both parents under 5 is going to be in trouble, even if they are present in his home. Okay, so these things are important, because you can be physically present, but it would have been better for you not to have been there.
Yes, I also,
Right?
yes.
So quite often, so let's look at the 214 repeat killers I have in my data set, 32 years of data. All right? 6 of them came from couple family homes, as in they have a mother and a father in their house. All 6 of them abused by all 12 parents, which means that it would have been better. In fact, half of those have been rescued by aunts, big up aunts and grandma. But it means that these children have just not had a parent. So if you look at the 12 universities we've been tracking in Jamaica, we've looked at 12 universities for a book we're publishing next year. And we have looked at the highest grades made. The highest grades made disproportionately are by sole parent household children. Why? So the same household that people who don't know better cuss and say are producing murderers are producing the highest performance in 12 universities in Jamaica. And why would that be so? All right, so Picture you having your mother alone. Your mother alone is going to emotionally blackmail you to focus on your work. So there's greater motivation, there's greater input in terms of input output for work. If you go to, and we've been looking at American universities, so
And there's
here's
less
where the difference is. If Chopper has a mother alone and I have a mother alone, and my mother abuses me and gives me no support system, and I have to be rescued by Sapphire, I have to run to Anti-Saf every now and then for help, I'm in trouble. If Chopper has a mother alone, but she has a support system, there's a visiting man, there's a grandma, and so forth, and she's nurturing, Chopper will make A's and I may kill someone. And these are the pieces of the discussion that never bring to bear in the discussion about parenting. What people do is, him have a mother, him have a father, the father absent, the mother absent, and that's the end of the discussion. But that's not how the human species operates. 4% of Jamaican men grew up with absolutely no home, no parents, no nothing. 4% is one of the highest in the world. You wonder why we're so violent? You cannot have 4% of people in a data set telling you that from age 12 they've never had a home. They just bounce from one place to the other, sleep on somebody's floor. They've simply never had a home. By the time they get to 18, they have the highest probability of having children because they're producing a family for themselves because they never had one. The point is that from slavery until now, our family setting has been too unstable, and we've spent tons and tons of money buying weapons for police, buying all kinds of stuff without looking at the root problems that we have. So we've been addressing symptoms rather than addressing the cause, when in fact violence is a byproduct of the social ills we have. So it's a very complicated issue, and we've not been carrying forward half a dozen sensible policies. From I have lived in Jamaica, from I went to England and studied violence, I have not seen half a dozen sensible policies in Jamaica that are geared towards reducing violence. They've been geared towards winning election. They've been geared towards making people who are campaigning and making noise happy. They've been geared towards every flippant and populist garbage rather than focused on reducing violence. And that's the crunch of the problem. And violence is something that spreads. The longer you take to do the correct things, is the more it becomes pandemic and endemic, because people rely on it to express themselves. People hit my car on the road nowadays, I don't even wind down my window.
Let's keep moving.
The other day a man hit my car, and he came out and come and knock on my window and said, "Doc, me recognize you, man. Me recognize you, man. You're good." Me say, "Yeah, man." He say, "It no scratch." Me say, "Bless up yourself, man. Me late for my meeting still." I'm gone. You can't, because I work with them, Chopper, because I work with them. I understand, that man could be coming through a nightmare and you just step out and put yourself in trouble. It's better to just leave it alone.
But Dr. Gale, I just wanna throw in something, as being the researcher that you are, and your very insightful revelations. It is not rocket science, I'm sure you're aware of Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yep.
And the basic needs of food, shelter, and security. And when you say security, it's not just physical security, but emotional security. And that is it,
In fact,
and the reason that is one of the most fundamental tenets in human development.
In fact, we've done 117 countries. My team of violence studies students from London, we covered 117 countries among us. And we asked young people in 117 developing countries, what are the things that will make you stable? Food, sense of safety from my community, at least one parent, and an opportunity to go to school or to be trained.
But it also...
I'm coming. And we ran that against the most violent countries in the world, including Jamaica, which is the fourth most violent since the year 2000. None of the kids who are high risk And we're talking about high risk in 17 different studies done around the region that I have been involved in. None of the high risk kids, none of the high risk males get more than 40% on their ontological security tests. So it's called an ontological security test. So to me, and I've said this to every single government in the region I've had the chance to work with, in Belize, with Dean Barrow. There's a new government there now that we have to go work with. From Kamala was there, her government. I've tried to get this into the skulls of our politicians for quite a while, that if you have an ontological index that was created, and you have in some communities, there are communities in which over 70% of the young men can't pass an ontological test. They've been hungry prolonged, they're unemployed, right? They have no idea about trading, right? What are you doing? We have gone to the stage where dons have said to me that, you know, the government need to intervene because the youth, them when my gang too violent. No, how you get to that stage and then you expect, right? You get to a stage where the don is now scared of the products of the society, and you are having the gall to come up with some flippant ideas as to why the country is so violent. This is the problem I have with policymakers, that sometimes them just lose them crackers completely, because if violence is the product of a social ill, and you are creating the social ill every day, what do you expect?
Yeah.
What do you expect? And then what fascinates me is if you look at the policies for most developing countries, they are written by outsiders. Most policies about violence in developing countries, right? When I went to Belize and people rejected me at first, I said, I am happy. I remember my first radio interview, I said, I'm happy that I am rejected because it says you have a sense of the value of your local people. But this time, you don't have any, because I'm the only person I know trained in violence in this region. And guess what? I look like you, so shut up and make it work. I literally had to say that to them. But I was happy that there was a group of black people who said, you know, come from Belize, where you know about Belize, ballet. And I'm saying, all right, well, I am here and we're going to work together. And within 3 years, I began to help the country with policies, but can't carry on the story any further because then it becomes embarrassing. The point of the matter is that we rely too much on people who have no idea, no DNA from slavery, no idea at all. I know people who come to Jamaica to write policies and to help with policies, who one community in Jamaica, one community have more dead people than all of London. One community. Do you know how many people die in London per year? 120 people die in London per year from violently. 120. And trust me, we have police division here with twice that. And London is 9.5 million people. So quite often, you see, because we're slaves, I'm very tolerant, you know. I will tolerate a farmer slave or children of slaves more than I tolerate everybody else, because people who were enslaved have been fit into a frame where it's difficult for them to stop being an idiot, because they are so hinged on everybody else being smart without knowing that they are smart, because they lack something called group self-esteem. And so I'm usually very tolerant. When I go to Trinidad and people are talking nonsense in a group, I sit there. Sometimes I even hum a song, because I say to them that I am very tolerant, but hear me out. Hear me out.
But let me ask you this though, because Jamaica seems to be very fortunate. As a matter of fact, on this little program that we have here, we are extremely fortunate that we have one of the only trained person in that field in the region. So we have a legislator here, because Dr. Longmore also occupied the space as a legislator. Now, why is it that we have so many good legislators, people who can write the best policies, and we have people like yourself who has the expertise? No, what seems to be the problem? Why can't we get it together? Why are we number 4 in the world as the most violent nation when we have one of the best trained person in violence in the region? and we have all the legislators here. What
All
seems to
right,
be the
all right.
problem?
Let me begin. Let me begin by making it clear that I'm not troubling Dr. Longmore. I'm not.
No, no,
This
no.
is.
No, Chopper knows that I'm always I'm about solutions.
Right. That is.
I need to tell you, I have like 10 minutes.
Right. So let me just make that clear. But the problem is not about labor right and comrade, the problem is about labor right and comrade. You understand that stupid statement?
No.
It means that it is not really one or the other, it's both of them.
I get you.
Right? So to me, I don't even see color in any way at all. It doesn't matter to me whether it's a JLP or a PMP government in power. What I see in power is a group of people who really needs to, first of all, get it in their head that you have transitioned from being ruled self-rule. And I think that is where the core of the problem is. When I teach students in England and they are consulted by the Jamaican government, right? My students consulted by the Jamaican government. And then the student called me and said, "Sir, I thought you live in Jamaica." And I said, "Yes, I am here." And they're like, "Okay, but your government has just asked me." Doc, it's rough, Jamaica a weird place. And I said, when you come to Jamaica, come by me, mate, and we sit down and we have a drink and we go through the stuff, and then they write the recommendation for Jamaica. Listen, man, listen to me. And by the way, this is not peculiar to Jamaica. Everywhere I've worked that was colonized has the exact same problem. Trinidad, Belize, El Salvador, Guatemala, all of them. They would rather buy more weapons and shoot their way out of the problem rather than just sit down a little bit and look at the problem in a scientific manner and come up with a violence reduction plan. One of the first things you notice that people have stuff named crime plan. What on earth is a crime plan? Despite all my training, I've never heard of a crime plan until I go to a third world country. Once a plane lands in a third world country, there's a crime plan. Countries with high violence cannot have high crime because you can't report the crime, because once you're alive, you have nothing to report. You're darn lucky you're alive. If you're in London and a person steals your phone, you run to the nearest police station and they track one of the cameras and they find the person because there's efficacy. If a person steals your phone in halfway tree and you check yourself and say, "Yeah, me alive," you're good. So violent countries don't report crime. Go to the UNODC report. Go to the UNODC report and look carefully if Jamaica is a high crime country. It's a medium crime country, but it's a high violence country. So there's a difference. So there's even when you're working with people in the media and you try to explain to them, stop calling me, come talk about crime and violence, because I don't understand what you mean by that. Because the bulk of our violence have no crime connected to it. Ooh. If you're a mother holding in half a chair and give you $2, that is who is that a crime? It will trigger you to go beat up your woman when you go home or 2 years or 3 years later. But it is not going to be documented as crime. If you're playing football and somebody kick you and stamp you up and say you behave like a sissy too much, where's the documentation?
It's our way of interacting.
Because violence has been a high level of efficacy for us all our lives. All our lives we know about violence. If you are going down the road and somebody say, "Hey, move out of the road," and you don't move out of the road, and then tell you, SYM and a whole the tribe of words that were used against the planters. You hear and you move. And it's after you move, you realize, but hold on, what may I move for? We are violent. We are violent people, and we've depended on violence. Where I grew up, where I grew up in a chapel, where I grew up in Westmoreland, right? Where I grew up in Westmoreland, right? You have a man who kill a woman and kill himself now. People tie him back on a tree and chop him up again, after I'm dead. Google that if you think I'm joking.
Don't you hear that one, eh?
I hear it. And I mean, you see, the parallel for it for me is my therapeutic spin too is that within our society we were not encouraged to relax and to play. The power. I wrote an article couple years ago. This, I mean, it's a long time. I always contribute little things. And the article was entitled "The Power of Play."
Yep.
And it's so unfortunate because you see, Jamaicans are very passionate people, you know, and whatever we engage in it fulsomely, including violence.
Yes, ma'am.
Including violence.
Yes, ma'am.
Including positive things. That is why the other adage of the we little but we tolerate, because no matter what, when a Jamaican set their mind, or as an individual, as a group, steers their mind in the right direction, nothing can stop we. Nothing can stop we. But what happens is when it is stifled, when that passion is stifled, when it has no outlet. And one of these very, very unfortunate situations is that outlet usually is developed through play, through casual engagement.
Play nurture.
Exactly. And we are
all that stuff that doesn't exist.
Deprived of that.
Green spaces that doesn't exist in our building code, all that contribute to the lack of play, right?
Exactly.
You see, but here's the drama for Jamaica, right? Jamaica is one of the space where, as far as anybody who comes here gets the chance to see, the gap between, there's something in Europe called the Child Survivability Index, okay? Where they measure constantly the gap between the top quintile children and the bottom quintile children. And that gap must not exceed, that gap should never ever exceed a certain Gini coefficient. In Jamaica, if you look at the kids in the top quintile, their lifestyle, right? I am teaching some of my students. Techniques that I see grade 2 and grade 3 prep school children are doing. I won't even name any of the schools. I see grade 2 and 3 prep school children doing stuff that some secondary school children are struggling with. The gap in Jamaica is just massive. It's not that they don't have the same brain space, right? And if you look at the data show that parental support is a more powerful factor than IQ. Listen to that. Parental support is a more powerful indicator, is a more powerful determinant factor of academic performance than IQ. So a child can be bright and poor, and the other one just average with 2 good parents and resources, and that child is way ahead. So Jamaica going forward has to begin to take some long-term projections and look at where it wants to be by, say, 2030, 2040, 2050, and begin to put in some of the plates, right? Some of the foundation plates, right? And we have to step back a little bit from the flippant election is in 4 years' time. Let's get ready. We're always in election mode. You know, I have never been anywhere else. I've never been anywhere else where the country is always in election mode. And I've been to 90 odd countries. I've even helped with campaigns in other countries, and I've never seen a country where as soon as they begin to discuss, and I'm not talking about politicians now, as soon as they begin to talk to people on the ground, they say, but hold up, go affect with food. We're too segmentary factional. We're too segmentary factional, meaning that, right, if you look at the 2011, 2016 data, when we covered the election, only 6% of Jamaicans considered themselves a Jamaican before a Labour writer or comrade. We have a lot of work to do in this country. All of the countries that have had this depth of segmentary factionalism have ended in civil war. Every single one. And 1980 it wasn't an accident.
Well, thank God Jamaica has never changed government by way of the gun. So we've spared. Dr. Lagmore?
Yes.
I'll give you the final word and then I'll come back to
yes, because I gotta go. It's that time of evening. Chopper, I know that I know that you have a wide coverage and persons are out there. We started this conversation around violence and particularly domestic violence, and I do not want to leave without offering the phone number for victims who may find themselves, that same system that Dr. Gale was talking about. We're trying to work with the system, Dr. Gale, and we're trying to offer some help. I know that the development might be slow, but we have helplines out there, and the number 553-0372, 553-0372 is the number that victims who find themselves in very dire circumstances, or not even dire circumstances, but threatening circumstances and may need to get out. You can contact that number, because there is someone at the other end of the line who is there to respond. And that is the effort that at the end of the day, with all of the talk and all of the ramifications of pontificating what might happen, the fact is that the reality is out there still. And we have to in creating the solutions. And my approach is solutions are immediate, medium term, and long term. This is not a quick fix solution. And just one little thing, the one other little thing in terms of what we were talking about, the contributing factors, is what we find in our work, which is the ACEs, the adverse childhood experiences, and how the ACEs can impact on subsequent negative outcome for the individual, not just mentally, but also it has been found to contribute to the development of physical illnesses because of the high cortisol level and the impact on the immune system in kids who go through trauma. But what is also shown is that one positive influence in that individual's life, one positive influence in that child's life can make the difference and can turn around all of that negative experience. So I think those are the two messages that I want to just kind of leave out there. Mm-hmm. It is not a hopeless situation. It is about increasing awareness. It is about seeing to, I think personally, meeting those basic needs, and as best we can, enabling persons to, as best they can in their lives, accomplish from those basic needs right up to actualization.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We have the number. We're going to post it on our page to ensure that persons are aware. Mm-hmm. Dr. Lockmore, again, thank you so much. We kept you way above your bedtime.
Yes, and Monday morning, I'm homeschooling, so.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Hold on. Sorry?
Right. No, I said thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, you're very welcome. And good night, Dr. Gale. Very informative. And I will remember, I'll know how to reach you.
There
very
you go.
Informative. Thank you.
All right. Dr. Gale, we're not going to keep you much longer either, because we know Monday morning is a busy morning for you as well. But I wanted to jump a little bit back to where we were last week, matter of fact, a week before that. We discussed the violence in music and how that contributes to the high crime rate in Jamaica and the high violence, even domestic violence. Do you think that there's a deep connection with our lyrical content in music as well?
That's a very simple question. That's actually not complicated. all forms and frames of media do not necessarily cause a problem. They indicate a problem.
Yes.
And quite often, because people see an association, right? Again, I like to use the example of, as ice cream sales go up, more people drown. It's not ice cream drowning them. It's because it's summer.
Oh.
But people like to make associations all the time and make the weirdest associations. The truth of the matter is that people sing about their experiences. So if Chopper sings about me hungry again, you go see me 9, give him food. He'll
so
sing
they sing about the experience. You don't believe that they are actually creating some of those experiences. In other words, they're not singing. Are they influencing the society? Or the society
stay with me. What I'm saying to you is that both are operating, but where do you put the emphasis? Do you stay as a person who doesn't have the experience? Do you behave as a person who don't have the experience and don't understand and cuss and carry on about the person who has that experience? Or do you actually sit down and look at the research around the problem? Because I think, what's his name? Orville Hall came
Yes.
to do a lecture for us some years ago. I think it's from Dance Expressions.
Yes.
And he said that he had actually tracked how the lyrics changed with the economy. I thought that was so brilliant. My students were in awe because this sounded like this man had a PhD in dancehall, because he said, if you look at, I mean, it's something we've always known, but we didn't know that somebody within the music industry was actually tracking the music like that. And he said, in the years when things are better and there's a lot of hope and so forth, the songs are more dance oriented. You know, there are different moves and so forth. And then when there's depression and so forth, people sing about gun and so forth and so forth. There's another thing that I always found interesting. A DJ starts out by singing a few culture songs, and no, everybody ignore him because the target people are in so much pain they don't want hear no culture, right? They want to hear anger. They want to hear an outlet that they can sing and kick the air and kick a ball and punch a tree and get the anger out. They want angry songs. But if you look at that DJ, he then sells a few hundred records, right? He then buys a car, he moves from the inner city, and the lyrics of his songs change. You should check that. Then he turns around and cuss the ones who are started on the same journey, who have a very violent song.
Yes.
it's hilarious watching human beings.
Yes.
And that is why we're 100% certain that the primary thing that music does is reflect your lifestyle. It reflects your experience. So if you live in violence every day, the best lyrics you can write is going to be violent. You could try and write one that is non-violent, but the rhyme and rhythm won't fit because it's something foreign.
And you won't get the popular view on it either.
Because your heart not in it either. Picture a man who is hungry every day, singing a song about, me have on my gold chain and my rate and so forth. It's not convincing because he doesn't have any idea of what he's singing about. But if he sings about, man take up their weapon and blood and run and so forth, yes, he understands that very well. Let me give you a bad example, a real bad example. When I say a bad example, it means it's a good example.
Yes.
We had a set of police officers many moons ago, about 20 years ago, and we said to them, we're giving you 5 minutes to do a skit on bad cop and 5 minutes to do a skit on good cop. And they do the bad cop one in about 90 seconds. And then they are the good cops that want to do. And all 15 minutes they can come with the ideas around a good cop. And that was the purpose. That is the point I was trying to make to them. Right? They are accustomed to people treating them poorly and them fighting back on all of that, right? So they understand the bad cop situation.
Yes, easy.
But the good cop situation where somebody says good morning to them and treat them with respect and then treat the person back with respect. 15 minutes they can't done. They just they even come to consult me. Doc, how we work out that part here? Because it's foreign to them. And this is what I'm trying to get into the heads of people. Anyhow you make life better for the zone where music is coming from, the lyrics are going to reflect that lifestyle.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Because you're basically saying that, look, these guys are singing about the environment in which they exist.
Yes.
And
an environment that all of us created.
Right. And here I was last couple of weeks when we had the discussion. And the big question was, who influenced who? Does the society influence the music or does the music influence the society?
Listen, I'm an anthropologist. All cultures are created by material culture. People who live with a valley between them are loud. They shout, "Oi, chop oi!" People who run every day, when they look at their feet, you can see. The evidence is always on our bodies and in our cultures. Cultures are logical. People don't get up and do things because they are stupid. People do things because it's going to provide a result. Most of the DJs that I've interviewed tell me, say, Dr. Herbs, a 5 culture song me do. And I no radio station will play one of them. And me get up and say, boom, bang, bing, people dead. And that I run the place because of that the people them understand that them live Dr. Herbs. What are you going to tell that young man? He's tried 5 songs, you know. You have DJs who have a nice little Christian name, you know, and people say, "What the that boy there?" And him changing name to some killer name. He sell off. So if we don't create an environment to produce, so a person is convinced when he's singing about better day will come.
Yes.
Him can't sing about better day will come, but you can see the reflection in mind. I say, boy, you know, oh, that song me I sing. But him start to sing, say, yo, 10 man dead in my community, yeah. Because 10 man died in this community.
Wow.
I remember, there's another side to this. That by expressing the violence, you are also encouraging it. But I am saying to you, it is unrealistic to ask a person to become a moral role model who you gave nothing to. You gave 0 to this young man. Suddenly he must become a character to lead the society that you gave absolutely nothing to. I am always amazed when people expect footballers who come from pure violence to become a role model for young people, right? One of them said to me, say, Herbs, our name role model. You know, people can be very cruel to young people. We can be very cruel to young people, you know.
Expectations are high.
Man, I have no idea what about talk about him. Just see him just go online one day. I hear somebody else say, the man there, I'm talking about a real case, you know.
Yeah.
I won't call his name. The man is not a role model. He's not a role model to young people then. And he now pick up his phone and call me and ask me what I really mean by that. Because the youth struggle through school, drop out of school, get into a club, can play football good, boss, as we say in Jamaica. But that don't mean the man can be relied on for no role model because he hasn't even sorted out his own life yet. So we are cruel to people, you know.
So that when a few weeks ago, when the Prime Minister called on the entertainers to sort of clean up the lyrical contents of the music, and one entertainer, or a couple of entertainers, but one in particular, Baby Sham, came out and said, boy, you can't hold me accountable in a Rasta because I am not responsible for anybody's kids. I am here to make music, a music I make. It's not wrong then.
The only issue for me is that once a DJ makes a journey,
yes,
we kind of have a risk. We kind of, right? If you come from A and B and C, D, and you reach a E now, right? We can say to a DJ who reach as far as E in his career, say, yo, dog, listen, you kind of reach a E now, you know. Kind of some people, I know people who have millions of dollars, you know, and still buy mackerel, you know, and shake out because of that him used to. You say, Herbs, yo, this me used to, this me know nice. When you chop it up and with some pepper and so forth, and that me know. When I know that foods, and I come bada me, I come ask about no whatever, right? Because I pull them aside and I say, Bridget, you pass mackerel, you know. You pass the shake out, well, yo, Herbs, that my mother grow up and that me know say taste good. So when we want to taste some good food, I want to shake it out. Yeah. So there are some people who don't realize that they've transitioned. So somebody has to quietly and kindly and nicely, right, say to those persons that you're transitioning, and therefore you have people looking at you, and therefore, you know, we know it we're asking a lot. Right, and you have to be kind, you have to be kind about it because we know we're expecting a lot from you, but we are said to you, say, boy, you know, try. So it's kind of what we call moral suasion.
Yeah,
you know, but you can't really hammer a man who accustomed to shaking out the mackerel and I tell him about, you know, over here we have caviar and over here we have sirloin steaks.
What is that?
But I say, yo, me taste me taste good enough. I'm going back to shake, you know. So it's complicated, you know. It's a situation where we have to be honest with ourselves.
Yes.
Right? To me, the people who start out in life with a lot need to produce more. They need to give us more. The people who started out with absolutely nothing and still are preoccupied, oh my God, you know, how is tomorrow going to be? We have to be kinder towards them. And this is what I've been trying to say to people, right? I don't have a problem with the most violent people who write the most violent lyrics. I've been around them and I will pull them aside and say, yo, Dada, see two culture song about it there now. Do one like that, no? And them say, yo, that's true, you know. Before you say country had changed and the things are changing. We'll try that one day. And the man come back and say, yo, check my YouTube, Dr. Hers. May I do well, you know? And you realize I won't even call on names, the man had start the culture songs because bit by bit the man had step out time comfort violent zone.
You're spot on in that, because just recently we've heard more than one entertainers came out, Bounty Killer in particular, who released a video recently. And in that particular video, he was basically saying, look, I have some level of regret about some of the songs that I did years ago. I think now I'm looking back. Now I'm a different person. I'm in a different space. I'm looking back and I realize that
I have money now. And his associations have changed.
Yeah, so those songs.
so what we say, his prior knowledge,
yes,
no longer totally informs his action.
Right. So he's basically accepted the fact that all those songs could have been, you know.
Yeah. But at that time he was hungry.
Yeah, but we see 9. Dr. Gill, the violence, domestic violence itself, as it relates to men versus women, I wanted to pick your brain on that a little bit because we've had a lot of debates in little groups and, you know, little organizations. We've been debating the whole issue. And a lot of it comes down to where some men are getting defensive and say, well, men are being abused too. What do you see in your findings as it relates to men versus women?
Boy, let me tell you, the violence against women campaign is good, and it also has some very frightening implications. I think I want us to look at the reasons why women die in Jamaica, right? Let's start with the reasons women die in Jamaica. All right, so 64% of women who die in Jamaica, that happens because there's a gang war going on. So women die because they're accused of, well, the number one reason women die in Jamaica is because men are triggering a war. So if Chopper and Herbs have a war, right, and I beat up Chopper and Chopper still don't respond, I beat up Chopper woman, Chopper have to respond because he has the core of his DNA on his Y chromosome is that he has to be a protective creature, has to protect his woman, otherwise Chopper can't go home. It's as simple as that. Chopper will get called like mama man and all kind of name. Can you stand up there and watch me beat up a woman? Right? Woman will find another man and you left.
Yeah, who can defend them.
Yeah. Right. So when you look at a situation like that, you have, so I'm explaining the 64%. You have women who to trigger a war, women who are accused as informer, women who find themselves in gang wipeout where the gang wipe out the entire family.
Whole household are,
right. And you have, and the smallest group in that group of the 64% are women who are gang strategists who work behind the scene.
Right, supporters.
Right? Supporters, right?
Logistically,
so all of those make up 64% of the reasons why women die in Jamaica. So about 118 to 120 women die on average every year in Jamaica since the year 2000. And we've been
per year.
We've been tracking that, and over 1,000 men die every year. So we've been tracking this 120 because it's pretty easy. 87% of neighbors know your business completely. So by the time we done talk to the neighbors and talk to some other people and triangulate, a process we call triangulation in research, we know even quicker than the police sometimes that the woman died because of that particular reason. So when you add up that, we move to a second group. The second largest group would be 21%. Basically, 1 of 5 Jamaican women who die because they're in a relationship with a man, right? And 3/4 of that problem is related to money, which we just discussed earlier. All right, money issues, and we'll come back to that. Then you have the third largest group, Métis war. Métis kill 11% of all women in Jamaica. Métis war, Métis. Yeah, there's a song that says Métis and a good sitting. Métis in Jamaica wipe out 11% of all women who get killed in Jamaica.
I wonder if you guys hear that. 11%.
And people don't want to discuss that. Everybody want to talk about the woman and the man in a war, right? But remember,
11% of all.
Let's go back because we need to make the comparison. 21% die at the hands of a man in a relationship, IPV. Fatal IPV. 11%, which is basically 2 to 1.
Yes.
Matey war.
Exactly. Wow.
Matey war. Wife wipe out matey and matey wipe out wife. Contract killing. Matey war is a big issue in Jamaica. I've looked at matey war in Trinidad, in Belize, in St. Kitts, in name it. I have never seen another place where matey is so brutal.
So that percentage, Doc, is not the matey physically doing the killing, but he could
sometimes matey physically do the killing too. But I'm telling you, when you investigate, when you do the research, everybody point to matey war. When you even find the police who's working on the case, and you said to the police, I mean, I can't tell you fully what I've learned, but I can ask you what's happening, and they'll say, matey war, matey is a big. I was in complete shock, We went back over the data repeatedly, and we put in some more years just to look at it at matey war. Matey no ramp in Jamaica.
Wow.
With matey take the money again. The money is a money problem, And you can understand that there's some ecologies or locals or places in Jamaica where once a man is an earning man, There are some communities where one earning man feeding all 4 families,
Yeah.
And the women are all aware that they're all with the same man,
So when the matey come in, him cutting into the food.
Yeah. You even have situations where one out of the 4 women, the man is not married to anyone, but one of the 4 women are the manager. And she sometimes say that, Poochie can't get the amount of money because a big dancer come and a war that stab up. But people have become so propagandistic and just so kerosene oil about the whole thing that all they're interested in is the 21%. Approximately 28 out of all the women killed in Jamaica each year would be as a result. And I think about 15 to 20% of those men would have killed themselves also.
Yes.
Because we have murder-suicides. And then the other one we have to pay attention to is family war. Women, 4% of all women who die in Jamaica die as a result of family war. Over land, 4%. Over 4%. And that is why I'm saying to people that you have to look at the data around something. Mark, the data is not published, right? In fact, the data was sponsored by a UK faith-based group of women who refused to have their name put beside the publication because they're afraid of backlash. Now, I want you to listen to this, We did the research. We sent it to them. We said, thank you, because we've learned. So thank you for your £5,000. I can't even tell you the money.
Yes.
It's just a little bit of money for us to go investigate.
Yes.
Right? It's not money for us to make. And we are happy and we're saying, we would like to put your name. No, we do not want to get involved in the kind of backlash that will come from specific groups.
Yes.
And I think that's a bad place to be.
Yes.
When we are so energetic about campaigning that we don't want to hear the data.
So that is one of the reasons why that data is not published.
No. I mean, I'm saying it to you now, and I've said it before, and it's been in PowerPoints, it's been whatever. It's out there. But I'm saying what amazes me is that this British group of women were actually afraid
to put their names behind it.
To put their names, and until now, I can't get them for me to say, thank you publicly, because they just don't want other people, particular groups of people, who enjoy this 21% focus.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question, though, as a scientist.
Yes.
How do you solve violence against women without addressing the violence that men have against other men, which causes 64%?
So 64 versus 24.
Right. Without addressing, right? Without addressing the 11% for matey, without addressing the 4% for family war. I don't they come to 100. How do you just focus on the 21% and have no other discussion at all?
Right.
The other 79 women don't exist?
But that is the debate out there now, because I figured that has now sparked a new conversation. Because
no, man, everybody is concerned about the 21, you know.
Yes.
In fact, they don't even know it's 21. It's actually 1.95% of murders in Jamaica.
1.95%.
1.9. Since you don't have a 1.95 human being, 2 out of every 100 human being who die in Jamaica is a woman dying at the hands of a man over money or some other family issues.
Yes.
Right? I'm saying nobody even wants to know the percentage. Nobody even wants to talk about the other 98% of other women and
2%.
children
And
and whatever. The whole discussion,
frenzy.
whole discussion. This is my 13th discussion in the last 2-3 weeks.
Yes.
And I have one more, and I've been explicit. I'm not doing any more.
Wow.
For quite a while. Everybody wants to talk about the 1.95%.
Yes.
That is the essence. That Jamaica is built on the 1.95%.
But we have 1,600 murders a year.
Hold on, boss. You know what I said to somebody last night? I said, you must be Jesus. Because Jesus gave a parable that says if one sheep is lost, he will leave the 99 and go hunt for that one. In this case, there are 2 sheep lost. And she started laughing. And she said, Herbs, I never thought of it like that. And I'm like, but it has to send a particular kind of message to a young, struggling male that you are willing to spend all your time, all of this time, all the value, everything on this 2%. And by the way, it's not the 2% either. Because it has to involve a certain class. Because if the woman is poor and not so good looking, we're not going to have more than a day quarrel about her either.
So again, so this 2%, breaking this down
into class.
Wow.
Because you know what has bothered me?
Wow.
And I don't want to be insensitive to anybody, so I won't call any names or anything because that's not me. I love women to the max, and I'm a mama's child. I'm a very soft person. But you know what has bothered me? The classism in Jamaica. A bus driver, a taxi woman in Montego Bay was murdered a couple weeks ago. And I asked my team to look to see how long we would follow it up. She has a picture looking like this. She's dark-skinned, she looks poor, and she looks tomboyish.
Mm-hmm.
That conversation is done. That conversation, chopper, done.
Well, Doc, what you just said now, it played out in plain sight just about 3 weeks ago.
No, but I'm saying to you, that conversation done. I bet you will not, people don't know her name, there'll be no discussion, nothing, that done. There's nothing about her that indicates class and aesthetics.
But that particular incident though, did it die because it was revealed that that individual had some sort of connection with gang warfare?
Yeah, but I'm saying to you that I don't care. I work with gangs in 17 countries. I don't really care if you're a gang member. I don't really care if you're the prime minister. I don't care if you're an angel. Once you have blood that pours through your vein, as a researcher, as a gang violence expert, I consider that woman's life as a life.
Yes. But society don't.
That's the point. And I'm saying, as a scientist, I do not have the luxury of judgment. I can't sit down and prejudge her and says, oh, blah, blah, blah. And by the way she looks, that connotes whatever.
Yes.
That's not my place. My place is to calculate her as part of a loss.
But recently, Doc, we saw I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to call it a name, but recently we saw the death of a young lady.
Mm-hmm.
and the entire country was outraged, rightfully so.
Yes.
But then there comes a lady who had her daughter killed a few weeks before. And she said, how come? So when you look at it, it actually had the same.
Look here, man. Look here. People don't get this. People don't get this about me, you know. I grew up as a nerd. I don't know anything else other than to stick to what the science says. I don't have the luxury of selecting people over people. All right. When I've been on the streets working with prostitutes in 7 countries. Right? We call them sex workers now. Right? Right? And
you're titled.
Yes. Right. Right. But I'm saying to you, right, that I don't have that luxury. I don't have the luxury of sitting down and saying 7 persons died. Let us choose that one to campaign on. I am not from that background. I am from the background where every single life that is lost is of importance to me. And if I can find a way to help every single family to not lose a child, yes, right? If I can find a way to help every family to not lose a child, then that's my quest on earth. That's my mantra. But that's not how the human species behaves. The human species finds it very natural to be a bigot.
Yes.
We choose who we are going to reflect on. And by the way, this has nothing to do with this year. This is something that I've been observing for over 30 years. And it's not just a Jamaican thing. I've seen it in El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize, Trinidad, everywhere that I've worked. I've seen the same thing. A particular girl comes from a particular background, and I'm using the word particular.
Yes.
And everybody says this is morning time. And then her neighbor, I'm giving you a specific case now, her neighbor, not so good looking, across the fence of the favela, poverty had dig out her stomach, died the following day, and nobody stopped.
Wow.
Not one soul stopped.
So it's safe to say that we are.
I'm saying to you, you know, even within the 1.95%, you know, the differential distribution. Let me use the big terms, so people don't say it's words of prejudice. The differential distribution of affect, of emotions within that 1.95% is immense, and we don't even get to stuff yet like simple things that people don't know. More boys die in Jamaica than women and girls combined. Simple things like those. If you don't care for a particular group of human beings, how can you expect love from them? How can you expect them to have a valuation of life? How many countries do you think exist in the world where more boys, meaning birth to 17 years old, more boys die than women and girls combined? Violently. I can tell you it's less than 10 countries in the world, and we are number one. We kill boys and young men just for the fun of it. Them kill each other, we kill them.
Wow.
The ratio is 1 to 36 being killed by the state. Wow. We actually have a lot of work to do. Because remember, if I am a walking dead, I can't promise you life. If I have no ontological security, no valuation of my life, when you and I have an altercation anywhere, I can't guarantee you I'm going to respect your life. We haven't even begun it in a chapter. We haven't even begun to scratch the surface of the problem of domestic violence, because we think that domestic violence is about violence against women.
Against women, yes.
67% of the victims of domestic violence are men. men killing men in their own.
67%
The
of
bulk.
domestic violence is against men.
Do you remember when the Ministry of National Security reported it and people were start to cuss because they didn't know what domestic violence mean?
No, they didn't know.
They thought that because the propaganda machine says forget about every other thing about domestic violence and focus on one thing, violence against women. They felt that legally domestic violence meant violence against women, but it's not true. Domestic violence, let me define for everybody, is violence that occurs amongst family and kin within a locale where people know each other.
Yes.
That is the definition of domestic violence. So when a mother use a machete where I grew up, two type of machete, one named Bill and one named 38.
Yeah, and what to the hook pipe? They don't have the hook pipe down the west?
Bill, that's a Bill, man. That's a claw Bill.
Yes.
I'm from a
Bill.
Yes, man. I am from Sav, man. I am from a sugar belt area.
Yes.
I am accustomed to walking past homes and hearing the bill hitting a boy and go twing. That's how I grew up. And that's fine.
That was okay.
Until you hit a girl. We can't operate a society like that, brethren.
This is serious.
How you going to operate a society like that? The boy get it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and that's normal.
But isn't it a fact that the society, Jamaica society in particular, is cultured to accept violence against men?
Yes, that is where the problem is. And guess what? There is something called listen now, fractured monotrophy. That means that a boy and his mother has a bond, the closest bond among anybody in the human species. So if your mother beat you up, you won't beat her back because you can't hit your mother.
No.
And your mother help you to get the emotional blackmail. I lick you, lick me, boy. You know how much dope will take you? Gunman soon shoot you, police going shoot you, soon dead. You actually raise your hand.
That is a fact.
Hold on. You actually raise your hand.
Yes.
John, you actually raise your hand against your mother? Me I tell you, you're soon dead. So both the socialization and the neurobiology means you can't hit her. But when you get a woman in your life,
yes, who is not mama,
then you suffer from something called a transfer of aggression. Because 80%, and listen, and it starts before that, there's a reason why people like myself, even when we are making sure you get the data, we remind you that you do not beat girls. You do not terrorize girls, because then it gets worse. So if you think beating a boy is bad, beating a girl is worse, because 80% of the women who terrorize their sons were tortured.
Say that one more time, Doc.
Hurt people. You ever hear hurt people?
Give me that number again. 85%.
I'm saying, hold on. I'm saying, don't take the cliche of hurt people lightly. 80%, check any study. 4 out of every 5 girls who are sexually abused or traumatized physically will actually damage their children permanently. So I'm saying the kind of upbringing that we have does not work, where we use violence as the means of getting kids to comply. It just doesn't work, because if it's a girl, she may not fight back, but she takes it out on her children, and those children are going to become monsters. If it's a boy, he will not respond to you, the mother. Mark you, 48% of them will fight after father, right? Based on their size.
Right.
Less than 1% will even respond to the mother. They'll run. When you go to dance, when I take my kids to Stone Love, right? This is part of my class. And we know of young men who've had a nightmare with their mother. And the song, thank you, mama, for the... Boop, boop, boop. Look here.
Even if the mother was not kind to
because him have to show off, him have to echo say, at least he have a mother when he never have no mother, really.
Oh.
So you have to understand the culture. So I'm saying, who pays for that torture? The relationship that he has with another woman, that woman pays for it. So I was saying to you that 80% of physically and sexually abused girls are going to torture their children. Worse if he has a boy. I have a girl the other day that we had to work with, right? She's now 21 years old. And she said to me, Doc, I'm going to lift up my skirt. Please don't consider it to be anything. When I look, she have a whole clothes iron print out on her leg. When I found the mother was tortured sexually and physically. And she said her aunts and everybody in the family tormented just like that. None of those 4 girls in our family, raped and abused, none of them have any good relationship with their children. So what's the point I'm making? That domestic violence has to be seen holistically. Can't be a little narrow 21% and, oh, let's focus on that. It can't be that. We have to look at the entire frame. Yeah. Right? You have a lot of people who kill each other within the family, beat up each other. You have boys in some families who just have a little bit effeminate shape. Everybody beat them. You have boys who everybody get lunch money except him. You have some kids are going through some serious torment in this country. But I kid you not, if you look at any reported data, 67% of the damage done within a household is to boys. Even IPV, 60% of IPV are to women and 40% to men. There are no data that show that the entire realm of domestic violence, which includes intimate partner violence, men and women, child abuse, neglect, sexual abuse, right? Deprivation. When you combine all of those according to the WHO, you look at boys as the number 1 target of domestic violence. Number 2, girls. Number 3, the aged and disabled. Number 4, women. And number 5, men. That's the order in every research.
Wow.
We can't just take up number 4 because we have funding for it. Because the problem starts with number 1 and number 2, the way we treat boys and girls in our homes.
This is serious stuff.
That's where the problem is. Because those are the persons who are going to inflict the pain later, you know.
Yes. So
I cannot get the Caribbean region to focus on protecting boys and girls.
They won't.
Every now and then there's a little money that comes for women and girls, or it comes for women, or it comes for girls. But to get them to focus on the core of the problem, which is the way we treat boys and girls, children, that simple word, children.
Yeah.
Which means if I'm a child, I should grow up without, and let's take the 4 blocks from WHO, I should grow up without physical violence, without sexual violence, without neglect, and without psychological violence. And that one, boys will tell you from the classroom to their home, they suffer twice more than girls. Boys, we did a study on the 5-star treatment. You know the 5-star treatment? Being called big old dirty thinking drunker. 5-star treatment.
Big old dirty thinking
drunker. We use it as a test in Trinidad, Jamaica, and Belize. Boys are running 3-to-1 ratio. As you quint, you're a big old dirty nasty thinking drunker. And we're not getting it that this is the kid you are going to campaign about 10 years from now because he's going to harm somebody.
Wow.
So every time we discuss domestic violence, people go into shock, because that's not what, when they Google it and put in domestic violence, and go to image, there's a man beating up a woman, that's domestic violence. That done. We don't want to talk about nothing else. Shut up. Just look on the one image and go to your bed.
Yes.
But scientists can't do that. We as scientists can't do that. That's propaganda. Because that's not going to stop unless you begin to focus on number 1 and number 2, boys and girls.
Wow. Dr. Gale, this is deep. This is going to take a whole show to get, because this is deeper than I actually even thought. I mean, you're reeling out some numbers here that is just mind-boggling. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to give you a chance to wrap. But during the break, I'm going to play this little slide here. Well, I played it on my way back. But let's take a break and we'll come right back and give you a chance to wrap that again.
Domestic conflicts are not ignored by the Jamaica Constabulary Force, as they can result in serious injury or death.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I am Constable McIntyre, along with Constable Pierce. We received a telephone call re a domestic dispute at this location. Are you okay, ma'am?
Just me and my husband. We had a dispute. I was asking him some questions and he got all upset on me.
Yo, when I tell you stop stressing me out, you're not here, you're not listen.
In these situations, we make sure that all parties involved are unharmed and prevent the situation from continuing or escalating. It's also our duty to inform the disputing parties that counseling is available to prevent a recurrence of the situation. If there is any evidence of harm to anyone, the police have a duty to commence an investigation. Help us to keep you safe. The Jamaica Constabulary Force, a force for good.
My name is Noel Chang. I'm a constable attached to the Mobile Reserve Division and the JCF SWAT team. I've been a member of this team for 2 fulfilling years. The training, of course, would have helped me to grow as well. I find it to be very fulfilling playing an active role in the crime fight and in developing my nation. Join the JCF and start a career.
No, don't put them and do it here.
All right, welcome back, folks. Dr. Gale, I know you.
That's an interesting one.
I know you would have seen that video before.
Yes,
it's been out there, and last week we've been going through and looking at that video. What's your take on that?
There's a YouTube, there's a British YouTube that was done in the park, in one of the parks in London. And you can go on YouTube. It's called Violence is Violence 40. It has expletives. Let me just make sure people are aware. It has
Violence is Violence 40.
40%. Violence is Violence 40%. It's an ad in England suggesting to campaigners and to everybody that they need to remember that 40% of the times it's not the woman who's being battered, it's the man. Mm-hmm. And so they ran a skit in one of the big parks where the man is hitting the woman, right? But it's a skit, and everybody comes down to rescue the woman, and then they allowed that group of people in the park to leave, and they come back now with a woman, same woman, beating the man and beating the man harder than he was beating her, with more aggression and everything. And with the man, it was very gentle. With the woman, she's putting it on proper, and cussing out and so forth. And people are laughing and cheering. And these are British people. So the human species, because we're 17.2% bigger than women, and because our task is to protect our family, right? It's kind of humorous to people when they see a woman doing that, right? That was our Jamaican version. You heard people laughing, but you heard a one voice saying, "Don't do it to a woman, no follow them and
Don't follow one do it, right?
Make them boost, make them right.
Press the button.
Right. But I'm saying to you that it is very easy for us to actually find it funny with the 40% of men who get hit with the Dutch pot. We also need to look that in the inner city relationships, a woman is likely to use a knife 1.5 times more, 1.5 times more against her partner than a man using it against his partner. Because women are smaller and because we have the capacity to harm them much more quickly physically, they are quicker to draw weapons like a knife and scissors, hot water, the big mug in the kitchen. I've had a lot of families I work with where I ask them for the mug. There's a beer mug in the kitchen that the man has got like half dozen times. And I just tell them, I said to them, listen, we've been working together for 3 weeks now. Can I beg you the mug? And she look at the mug. And she look at me and she look at the mug and she look at me and she look at the mug. And then she said, Doc, if me give the mug, it means we are going to live good together. And I say, yeah, man, that me I ask you for. Right? The issue though, when you look at reported, and this is what I want to look at a little bit. When you look at reported IPV,
yes,
right? Remember, having the capacity to report is also power, right? Mikhail Foucault, read the work of Mikhail Foucault. If you can communicate, let me spell that. The Foucault is Foucault, but it's Foucault, it's French.
Yes.
Right. But Mikhail Foucault point out that if you have the power of the voice, that's power. Power is not just physical. People look at you and say, yo, Herbs and Chopper big. So if we see them in a relationship with a woman, I'm here with nothing called IPV. A them I guilty one.
Yes, naturally, yes.
But she have a knife. She wait until you go sleep. She have the pot cover. She have the big mug. And she has the capacity after she beat you up to call the police. And you get arrested. And you get arrested on top of it.
My God.
We had a man in our data set who was stabbed. He eventually died at her hand, you know. She eventually killed him. But he was stabbed. When we collected the data from him, he was stabbed 17 times. He's never reported it.
Never reported it.
When we heard that he was killed, my team drove, and the police said, Doc, he's never, ever reported it. And when we interviewed him, remember, we are researchers, we begged him to report it even once. He's never reported it.
But why is it though? What really is the cause? What's the problem why men?
All right. So let me go to the bathroom experience. We switched over our bathroom at Social Sciences from the female bathroom to the male bathroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the female bathroom had a mirror right where they put the urinal, and everybody opened the bathroom door, see the mirror at the urinal, and turn back. For a whole week, nobody used the bathroom.
Yeah.
Because so you can't go in there and go use the bathroom, and a man come through the door. Because if your penis turns out to be too big in the mirror, you are going to be a threat to him. Because if you say hi to him, woman, I'm going to say, yeah. Boy there. Me and him. If it turns out to be too small, I'm going to say, yo, I can't take it with a band of girl. Males are very emotionally fragile.
Yes.
Slightest thing. If you look at another time I show people how the brain is situated. If you look at a female brain, right, you have tons and tons of neuropeptic sites for emotions. Women are far more emotionally intelligent and advanced compared to men. Men are binary, right? If you even reflect on your own life, you either like her or you don't like her. You know, no complication about me like her, me kind of like her. I like her. I have rose petal. I like her. I don't like you. We like her. I don't like you.
Either or.
Right. So that's important for us to understand. So men are emotionally fragile in that sense, right? And fragile to the extent where the very slightest thing can trigger a male to act. So as a result, you don't want to, your pride is all you have. Worst of all, if you're poor, you don't want to call a police station and say, yo, you know what, so she beat me. You know the song, she do it again, right? You don't want to be the man. Being the man would say, do you want to be that man?
You want to be that guy.
That guy, right? You don't want to be the guy to call a police station. Do you know three police officers? Sorry, give me a minute there. Jaden?
Yeah, man.
Three police officers were in my class and 3 police women, and they were adamant that they wanted to know why on earth, when men are hurt by their women, they come straight to the women, to female police. So I said to them, let that be your research, because I teach research. And you know what they found? I told them to interview 15 police officers and ask them if they like when men come and tell them that they were beaten. Not one. Who? The man there, what kind of man that? Eh? Come to me. Me if he sit down, hear the police officer now. Me if he sit down and write a whole statement, so they beat him up. Eh? What kind of man that? So the police officer himself, you know, he hasn't worked out his own sense of security yet, you know. Right? So even at Fathers Inc., when we have men who go through that, we send them directly to a policewoman. Do not go to a policeman, because you can't guarantee that he's had the training to deal with that. And he's going to feel so bad. The study was so interesting that I went with the police officers to actually follow up, you know. And when we interviewed the policeman said, listen to me, my entire day wrecked, you know. A man come in here, come talk, say, the man 6'4" in the dock. The man has 6'4", and in little woman 5'2" stab him up. Me whole day wreck dock. Me actually reached halfway through the report and me just stop. And then say, yo dog, go yard. So we have not worked out dealing with the fact that we are human beings, that we can be fragile, that we can be hurt. 5%, check the database, 5% of the call-ins are men, 95% are women. If you want to be dumb enough to think that that is the reality, come again.
Doc, what is going to change? What is going to change?
A lot has to change. And by the way, we are getting better.
Yes.
Because I remember when I just came from England and I was looking at some of the database, it was 2 and 3%. We're at 5%.
Wow.
But it means that we have to have media, have to have a responsibility of being more honest and providing a space where men can be humans too.
Because
can't just jump up every day and talk about women, and there's no space for the man to be a human being.
That men get a beat now.
Look here, man.
I mean, we get a beat out there,
and you
can't talk about it.
Look here, man. I grew up with a woman. This woman was actually bigger than the man, one of my neighbors. And I'm being very careful because I have some neighbors where I grew up who love me to tears, and I don't want them to know I'm talking their business. But I grew up in my neighborhood. There's a woman who was big and strong, married this tiny little man. You know, the little men, them love the big women there.
Yes.
And that's part of the principle of nature. And I'm telling you, she used to beat him. Used to have 3, 4, 5 neighbors rescuing him. Like women will see the woman going to meet him and just open the door and say, run in and lie down. Mm-hmm. And he hear him, and he run into the woman's house and lie down on the floor and until the storm pass. So I didn't grow up thinking that women are harmless little creatures and men are big ogres, because I grew up seeing everything happening.
Yes.
The problem is about where the funding comes from the international development partners. Funding comes The funding comes from a setting of patriarchy where in Europe, women are actually battered far more than we are. Women have sadder stories than our women. Our women are far more empowered.
Yes. Yes.
So they bring this money with their experience based on what we call prior knowledge. Their prior knowledge says women are always sufferers.
Thinking that the same thing exists here.
And they bring it to our setting where men and women came out of slavery together. And they assume that we have the old European patriarchy that they have, but we were slaves.
Mm-hmm. And that makes a big difference in our culture.
Check this out. The typical helper in Jamaica does not allow the gardener in the house. My students wanted to know why. Because in my head, I thought it was a security issue. That's what I thought. Until my students wrecked the thing by mashing up my course. A group of 3 women. They went and interviewed 60 helpers to find out why they do not let. Would you let the gardener into your house? Less than 15% would let the gardener in the house. Why would you not let the gardener in the house? He's below my station. So we started reading house slave versus field slave,
Right there.
Right there. It's in our blood, it's in our DNA, it's our history. The women on the plantation, a lot of the women on the plantation had more power than the men out there cutting the cane. Remember that the gardener gets more money than the helper, It's not about money. It's about what was brought over from slavery. So this constant discussion about how our women are at this massive disadvantage, and we don't have the historical data. We just don't have the data. And what I've been encouraging people is to work as partners. The easiest way to divide Black people is to have men versus women. Mm-hmm. Easiest way. Black people are economically weak. Can you imagine when you're weak and then further broken into men and women? Mm-hmm. Check out the families that have partnership. They only have 3%. 3%. This is the next one for you to post. Mm-hmm. If you look at the 6 types of relationships women have with men, then the most
relationship, yes.
6. The one that gets the most violence is the one in which the man goes out and work and brings the money to the woman, and the woman is assumed not to have used the money well. They have 44% violence. The average for Jamaica is 25%. I saw you post it, which was brilliant. That's correct. 5 different studies we've done have shown 25%. 25% of our homes have intimate partner violence. Mm-hmm. Now, if you go above that, you find the families that are traditional, the ones that are looking at the book of Ephesians and misunderstanding and using it to terrorize women. You know those homes? A lot of them are Christian homes where the woman gets beaten for all kinds of foolishness because she's not earning. We call those traditional. That's traditional brutality. Mm-hmm. Then you have the one in which the woman wants the man not to have any power, but he must carry out all the beneficial frames of patriarchy. So there are 2 sides. Let me help you with the 2 sides very quickly. Yes. Number 1, you have hegemonic masculinity, which means the man must have power over women and children and men who are not very manly. All of those come into one group, man and man.
Yeah.
Hegemonic masculinity. And hegemonic masculinity have 3 P's. It has polygyny, which means that you must have any woman at all you want.
Polygyny. But I hear that is being promoted a lot now, isn't it?
Well, work with me, right? So you have having power over women, that's the first P, power, right? Having any amount of woman you want, sexual dominance over women, right? And the 4th one, trying to remember that, right? Getting a little bit tired. so you have those 3. You have those 3, and okay, we'll soon come back to it. And then you have the beneficial masculinity, which is now having property,
Yes.
And my students have done this study. Women give that 9 out of 10. Love the property and money. Property. Yes. Right? Sexual performance. A lot of P's, man. Sexual performance. Male nurturing. You know, a nurturing man. Oh, he's so lovely. He's so nurturing. And protection. And he will die for me. Women love that side of patriarchy and masculinity. They don't like the power part and the brutality part and the physical part. Now, what I'm saying is when you look at women's relationship to those 8 things, I left out one. When I remember, I'll tell you. You'll see that there are a group of women who want only the good parts, but none of the bad parts. So you're not supposed to have any power. You can't even talk in your house, no nothing. But you must pay the bills and all of these things and so forth. Those end up with the second highest amount of violence.
Golly.
Because the point is that the man stays there and suffers until he snaps. So that core area has a lot of murder-suicides, where the man pays the tuition, everything, pay all the bills, all of these things, right? And he called to a girl and he's being tortured about it, and him just blow up. Sometimes the trigger is so tiny. And then you have what we call positive transition, in which the woman is transitioning from traditional, but she's sharing more with the man. She'll pay bills that she selects.
Oh.
So she has the handle, right? That drops below the 25% to 23%. And then you have patriarchal transition, where the woman gives the man immense amount of power, but he can go so far and no more, like a snake in a tunnel. And that's 21%. And then you get down to the group that I promote every day, partnership, where you and the woman become best of friends. When I ask you, who is your best friend? My woman. How many accounts you have? We have a few accounts, but we have one where we pool money together and we co-parent and we work together. And I earn $500,000, she earn $500,000, and we sit down together and pencil out the mortgage, and everything is in our name, and we are best friends. Homie, guess what? 3% IPV. 3%. So we're coming from all this madness to 3%. And that's all I ask from black people, you know. That is all I ask from black people every day. If you can develop a partnership with your man or your woman, yes, trust me, you are going to be fine.
That's the most powerful piece.
Partners that, by the way, the research says we are now at 18% partnership. Big up the Gen Z people then, because they are at 30% partnership. 1 out of 3 Gen Z says that is what I want. Our generation just trying to catch on to the idea. Big up the Gen Z people then. We don't big them up all the time. When we find that one good thing, you have to big it up.
You have to big it up, yes.
So we always accustomed to Wi-Fi and stuff. How them fragile and PC. So we have to big up the Gen Z people then, because they want partnership. And I am saying that anytime we get to 50 and 60% partnership, like first world countries, domestic violence will just dwindle away.
But that is something that we can, the government can encourage that, as Dr. Langmo was saying earlier, is to incentivize it.
Oh, and by the way, the 3% was irrespective of class.
Yes.
Poor people who are partners had 6%, and rich people who are partners had 1.8%, which means the standard deviation or the gap between those is very narrow.
Right.
Which means that if you can't find a group of poor people, inner city poor people, who only have 6% intimate partner violence, that's something to check out.
Wow. Well, that is something that we definitely need to promote, especially from a policy standpoint. If government can start to look at it.
It's not about policy, it's about social marketing. It's about groups on the ground, because I don't think policy can achieve it. I think it's us. I think it's people like you. I think it's a different fora, right? That have to get up and begin to say to people, try partnership, and begin to explore it and show people. And when people are having the TED Talks and all kinds of fancy stuff,
right.
We need to have our own version to say to families. This is how you do it. Make sure you have an account where you put your things in and you discuss money. Because 71% of domestic violence and intimate partner violence are money problem.
Yep.
Money problem.
Yep.
So if we can sort these things out, what do we do with the money?
Mhm.
Right? And I've had families that come to Father's Inc. And I say I speak to the woman first, right? And I listen to the very long story, sometimes an hour, and then I listen to the man. He normally gets 5 minutes because he doesn't need more than that. Because he's speech deficient. I'm just straight up. We don't have a lot to say. We just tell her, say, yo, me not like how she does done every day on our work. And then I'll sit with the woman and sit with the man and say, all right, I've listened to both of you. I'll say to the man first, what have you thought in your head that she could be doing to help you? And he said, I could put a stall at the gate. Right? And she started selling anything at all. And just make me feel the love. Say she had tried help me cause a 4 job me I do. I've met those kind of men, you know.
Yeah.
And believe me, the IPV done, you know, brethren.
Done.
3 times the man said the herbs are 3 times my backside down, you know. We are talk real tonight.
Mhm.
And I go back to the house and I visit and them up and down. And guess what? You never know, say a stall can become a shop.
Yes.
It's 6 years now, and that couple, literally, the woman is now making 40% of the money that he's making.
Right.
From a little shop.
So at least she's bringing something now.
But the two of them is to take taxi. And now them have a little car, them have a little Nissan Note. I drive up and down on the place.
Wow.
And this is what I'm trying to get into the heads of black people, you know.
Mhm.
You can't just stay home and then need a wig for dance all night. Because that is the exact family that's gonna have a nightmare, you know. When the man go to the taxi stand and people say, yo, dog, look how you look and look how Maxine look wicked. Look how Maxine dress and you tear up. People not getting these things done. There are some simple things, related to money, you know. Right? Tons and tons of family. We've rescued now over 400 families like this. They come to Father's Inc. Right? We're going to be 30 years soon.
Yeah.
30 years, Barry Shavans, and we've been doing this. Yes, man, we're getting old.
Yeah, I know that organization.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, man.
I've met
and I tell you a little secret: 80% of the people who call us are women because women are better help seekers than men.
Oh yeah,
we're still trying to beg men to call us. You know, when they call us with some weird message like that. Hello, is your name Dr. Herbs? And I say yes. Well, a man some must call, you know, because you're a good youth. I say, yeah, man. Some people say, man. Well, a woman tell me about, you know, say use our word on party night, you know. On party and me can't work what kind of party, you know. Because I know tasties are juicy beef, so I don't know what kind of party I talk about, you know. Me do our things, you know. And I say, where are you? I'm up on the taxi stand, so you know. And you drive, go down there. And on the way, you try to figure out which party, and you call a friend to find out what kind of party they could have talk about. A compatibility, you know. She burn out all her money and then send him a message, a text him, they're not compatible. All him can work out of the party part. If
you want to get him upset, use some word them don't know the meaning.
Yeah, and can't work it out. I mean, I tell him, say, don't bother ask the man them pan stand. We have A levels. Because you know some of the drivers them have A levels and O levels. But I ask them about the party, they just wait for me. The old dog, just start wait for me because you need an expert to start explain to the man and then find the woman and sort it out. Because murder going to commit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say to people that don't have to sort out the money problem. And I've been saying to a lot of families, you know. If you see your daughter suddenly get tuition on him, something they paid, you know, it is time for you to investigate, you know.
Yes.
Because when the man get the party and him realize it's not tasty or juicy beef, you know, they can't tell you so there's going to be a problem.
Wow.
So there's a lot of work that we need to do, you know, to drive people towards partnership and to respect each other and to work with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a small group of men now. Right? Gen Z men now, you may talk to me. You have a small group of men now who like the older woman to take care of them, and then the older woman call a contract killer for you.
Wow.
Do you understand me? We have to begin to work together and to respect people's money.
They go to the older woman.
Yes, man, and abuse them. And abuse them.
End up get killed.
Yes, abuse them because, you know, they're going through the phase now called cougaring. So they're going through that phase and they get abused. Just like how men get abused sometimes, they get abused too.
Sugar daddies.
Yes. I think about 7 years ago, I was in Europe and I was having a discussion because there was a lot of black on black violence in domestic area. And I said to a group of women, remember that money is a man's vagina and they play a shell. Women not getting that.
That one thing I will tell you,
you're absorbing it, right? A woman is most protective of her pride. We are protected of our money,
Yeah.
We sit down and work out the money and say, yo, no, man. And you tell your brethren laugh after you. And you pretend that you laughed, but when you go home, you're serious.
Yeah, think about it, of course. Soak it in.
So I've been saying to people, work out the money issue. If you have a contract with your partner, make sure that contract locks you in. If you don't want a contract,
you're talking about a prenup, right?
No man, a contract, verbal contract, man.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We don't have them something, man. A middle class thing you talk about, chap. Or a upper middle class thing you're talking about, man. We're talking about poor people thing, but they hurt each other,
yeah.
Right? So I'm saying, if there's a contract that says, right? If there's a contract that says, look, I am going to invest all of this in your education, right? You, at the end of the day, the woman can't say, hold a party there. You can't. Because there's a contract. And men are loyal. Remember, we are gangsters, Men form gangs easily because we are loyal,
Yes.
If a one car you grew up with, how do you think these car makers do it? They advertise cars showing you children from generation to generation. That's why Toyota and Nissan and these companies are big. Because we know, say, if you're a Nissan driver, you're not going to drive Toyota. If you're a Toyota driver, you're not going to cross over. The bulk of you're going to stay. Loyalty. So we build loyalty. Men operate with one bank in Jamaica. Women operate with 4 to 5 banks. Men are blindly loyal. So when a man tell him brethren, say, oh, I have a girl at UWI or UTech or UCC or wherever, and he might show off on the girl, and then the girl tell a friend, say, man, the idiot. Problems have started because we expect a certain degree of loyalty like we would be in a gang, blood in, blood out. Women are rational, practical, and far more cognitive than we are. Women work out these things in detail. But we don't. We're binary. We like her, we don't like her. Baby, anything you want, man. And you have some men who are like pursue woman for pay our school fee. Baby, me tell you something, you pay your tuition up at UC, up at UTech, me pay anything at all, man. And then now, when the woman take the money now, and the embarrassment reach him, and him get the party now, him now work with the party. When he was the one in the first place who forced himself on the woman with the contract that says anything or anything. But women don't understand these things, and sometimes they get caught up in these stories.
Yes.
But men are, the less educated a man is the less options he has in terms of plates of identity and sentient frames of emotion that he can move on to. So if you take away the one, and I'm actually going to go there and say this, that the research shows the man who builds the bulk of everything on this one woman, That's why partnership work, Partnership work when the man build everything on the woman and the woman build everything on the man, and on our best of friends. You see the fractured partnership where the woman build everything on the man and don't get back anything, and the man build everything on the woman and don't get back everything. Problem that.
That is what, yes, because the woman will pay somebody to kill him, or him will kill the woman. Yeah.
The number 2 reason of murder suicide, and number 1 in Jamaica is money. Money delivered without a product in return is the number 1 reason for murder suicide. Because we now have 104 cases of murder suicide that we've solved, that we've saved. We document everything at Father's Inc. The number 2 is jacket. Because that again is a breach of contract.
Jacket
is number 2. So we have to begin, and this is what I'm saying, we have to begin to work on this thing about becoming partners.
So
Loving
number
and
1,
respecting.
Dr. Herb, number 1 is money delivered.
Investment in somebody other than yourself.
Absolutely. And no return, basically.
12 years old. I was 12 years old, right? I grew up as a little nerd in my family. I graduated from school weighing 107 pounds at 15 years old. 2 weeks before my graduation, a boy literally lifted me and put me in a garbage bin and I couldn't come out. I was that tiny. I went to college and grew up. People see me now at 6 feet, 1.5 inches. Now watch that. I grew up tiny. The only thing I never have was the glasses. So listen to me carefully. When I was growing up, my mother was very concerned that everybody in the family big, because the girls them big except that little Winter one here. And she would pray around the table, Lord, help him that he will eat. So one day, my mother stopped the whole dinner. She was mega concerned. And she said, okay, they claim you're one of the brightest child in the parish, right? Tell me this, Mr. Brightman. If you have one dumpling and you're supposed to, that's the only dumpling left, and I give you the one dumpling to eat, what would you do? I said, Mom, you have 10 children, 8 boys, 2 girls. I would have cut up the little dumpling and give to everybody. Everybody get a piece. And she said, you may have a powerful IQ, but you're fool as hell. And she mocked me and she said to me, boy, listen to me carefully. Nyam the whole dumpling, get enough energy to go on road, go look food for your brother and sister them. And I've been trying to pass this on to a lot of Jamaican men. I went to a college 3 years ago and we were talking, I was talking to the young men and I sent a note. I gave everybody a little sheet of paper and said, if you are funding a girl and you are making sacrifices that sometimes you are hungry to make sure she's okay, right? Yes. There were 40 odd kids in the class. 30 had said yes.
30 had said yes.
30 had problem, you know. Why you would all be hungry and give a girl food? That's the point my mother was trying to get into me, you know. That was the point she was saying to me, that you have to invest in yourself first before you can help people. You can't give. Listen to me. Me and my mother used to cuss one section in the Bible, you know, the widow's mite.
Yeah.
My mother and I are settled on that point. God bless her soul, she died and gone. That, listen to me, don't come up to me with no widow's mite story. Invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. I remember when I went to university and my mother said, yes, big up yourself. Don't let none of your siblings come tell about you must take your lunch money and come give them. Invest in yourself. When you have money, then you come back to Westmoreland and go help them. So my mother hammered that in me. But that's not what the young men, you can't get that message in the young man's head.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I make $2, yo, girl look good.
Mm-hmm.
And then my class at UWI is filled with women, and I can't find the young men.
And it's the young men who's sending them to UWI.
And then them go to war.
Ja.
Every single university in this country have loads of women whose tuitions are paid for by a male, and that male is not in a university, nor can that male afford
education either.
Nor can he afford education for himself. The first study we did like this was 1997 at UWI. And we're saying that has to change. People who invest in themselves are better able to give and respect others.
Mm-hmm.
People who pre-harvest themselves at the sacrifice of others must grudge the person later. And therefore, I leave everybody with this philosophy. Smart people invest in themselves and then pull up others. Idiots push up people.
And stay down the floor.
And stay down there. And then grab a person's foot and I stab him up and all kind of manner of violence. I'm about you. You know, remember me? I'm me, Billy. You know, say I'm me, Billy. I'm me, make you smile, you know.
Yes.
You idiot people, them there. Invest in yourself, and then you'll be able to be a partner. Because one of the things we've discovered about partners is that they invest in themselves. They respect themselves. When you respect yourself first, you can respect other people.
Mm-hmm.
I have to
go. Again, I have to say thank you. This has been the most informative session we've had since we start this whole chopping block. I have to say, there are persons here who, one lady just wrote a while ago that she has never sat and watched anything on social media for 3 hours. Big up yourself. Enough respect. We appreciate it. This is awesome. Thank you very much.
Take care, everybody.
Yeah, man. All right, folks. So that was Dr. Herbert Gale. We can't thank him enough. This is just mind-boggling. Blow your brains with information. But I told you, we promised you that we would have. One of the reasons why we wanted to bring Dr. Gale on is because we know what he brings to the table. We know what Dr. Sophia Langmore brings to the table. We know that these folks are going to come with data and information that will put us in a better position to understand the issues and to be able to discuss it more and more, discuss it from a more informed position. Dr. Gale and Dr. Langmore did us justice where that is concerned tonight. And I want to say special thanks to them. I would also say special thanks to the persons who tune in, persons who share the program, the persons who tell a friend, tweet a friend, call a friend, and phone a friend to tell them that we're on and that we're live. Big up yourself. We love and respect you all. Thanks to the persons who work behind the scene to sort of keep us grounded and to get the information out there so persons can be informed. Thanks to you. Thanks to everybody who tuned in, who shared, who converse, all 200, 300 of you who stuck around. It's a long show tonight. We went on for the longest we've been ever since we started this whole program. Barry Foles, big up yourself. Paul Steele, big up yourself. Rena Williams, big up yourself. Patroy, thank you. Kelly Fisher, thank you as well. Nadine Parkinson, big up yourself. Colleen Williams, big up yourself. Magnus Williams, big up yourself. Janet Barrell, big up yourself. Miss Janet is here. Well, look at that. Miss J is here. Big up yourself, Miss JJ. Good to see you. Saniki and Aliyah. Big up on yourself. Take a bow. This has been the longest program. Paula Fuller, big up yourself. Who else we got? Greg out of Canada, big up yourself. Greg, you're in Canada, big up yourself, my brother. Denise Johnson, big up yourself. Duba Basil, my brethren, big up yourself. Terry Ann Williams, big up yourself. This is a marathon show. The busiest and the longest show we've had. Chris Fong, big up yourself. Patrick Seal, big up yourself. And thank you. Thanks again to Dr. Herbert Gale, and thanks again to Dr. Sophia Langmore, Senator Langmore. Big up yourself. Thank you so much for coming through. Stick and stay with us, folks. We're going to be out behind these.
Domestic conflicts are not ignored by the Jamaica Constabulary Force, as they can result in serious injury or death.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I am Constable McIntyre, along with Constable Pierce. We received a telephone call re a domestic dispute at this location. Are you okay, ma'am?
Just me and my husband. We had a dispute. I was asking him some questions and he got all upset on me.
Yo, when I tell you stop stressing me out, you're not here, you're not listen.
In these situations, we make sure that all parties involved are unharmed and prevent the situation from continuing or escalating. It's also our duty to inform the disputing parties that counseling is available to prevent a recurrence of the situation. If there is any evidence of harm to anyone, the police have a duty to commence an investigation. Help us to keep you safe. The Jamaica Constabulary Force, a force for good.
Nah, click on your link for my liquor brother pre that slot bro, we no need that. And the next thing them type of song they are listening online, what kind of thing that some big man pose up on them profile and a put chat to a small child. Watch yourself on social media when you a post boxes, no do nothing too wild. What if your little brother said a post ya? What if your bro dead in another crime video ya? What if your little sister fi take a one pic and it a put up everywhere like it's a poster? Before me share the post the pic, I ask myself what if I nah comment, I nah go click B. Before me ask what if I nah comment, I nah go click B. Before me ask what if so before you share the post the link, just ask yourself what if yeah. When you're there online, make it a new day at the rhyme. Keep up with the time. Broadcasting commissioner remind you.
Broken. It's an understatement, but it's the closest to describing how Shamari Williams feels. Almost a year ago, Shamari's life changed tragically after her common-law husband, whom she shares a son with, attempted to take her life.
I came in from work. I went to sleep and only to know that I was awakened in KPH the other day.
She doesn't quite remember what happened, but based on what she was told, after her partner returned and found her asleep, he attacked her and set their home on fire, with both of them inside. Her partner died, but miraculously, Shamari managed to escape, but not without chopped wounds. She received chops to her neck, hand, head, and the hardest one to look at, right across her mouth.
The jawbone has been chopped and they had to pin it.
At first, she didn't quite understand what really transpired. But when she did,
it was just a sad moment, like the last, and I look out of space and all this. You just can't imagine that someone will really do this to you.
Her wounds are now healed, but the emotional scars perhaps will never heal. Keloid tissue stretched across every wound, a haunting reminder of the tragic event. Now looking in the mirror is a rarity.
Looking at my pictures before and after, it's sad.
The metal pin in her jaw affects her sometimes when it gets cold or when she eats. But despite the losses and the pain, she's happy she's alive.
It's very painful to know that you have work and furnish your home and then all that just went up in a blaze. It felt horrible, but I'm thankful for life.
Looking past the scars, Shamari says all she wants is to put it behind her, start over, and be that anchor for her son.
I'll do my best in growing him in the right way. That's when he become a man, he know how to love and treat a woman.
Her drive to achieve her true purpose in life, which is to be a nurse, has not died. She's now encouraging persons in abusive relationships to get counseling. And if it's not working out, get out.
Don't sit in it and wait until something horrible happens to you.
With a ray of hope, I'm Kayan Morgan.
Spice up your winnings! New game supreme up on the scene. Hot pick a do it and it easy if you win. Pick any number from 1 to 15. Then all you do is watch all your winnings come in. All you need a $10. You can bet it and make it in $100. You might even win a 110 or 130. And the best money this you ever spend, dada. Hot pick, Supreme Ventures, this is the new hot topic. So easy if you win. whichever. Me win $100, TC win 110, and SWAT wins win 130. Hot pick, easy to win. Easy to win, me say it, easy to win. Easy to win, me say it.
Introducing Hot Pick, the hot new way to play from Supreme Ventures. Prizes are...
This is what you've been waiting for. A chance to change your point of view and take the break you deserve at Jamaica's resorts and attractions. When you can open your door to the seaside instead of just outside. Where you can change your mask and take a plunge.
Sunshine smiling warm up inside your heart. Feeling of pure love. Oh, Jamaican heartbeat. Dancing to the beat up inside your heart.
Whoa.
Heartbeat of the world. Oh, Jamaican heartbeat.
Contact your travel agent today to book your staycation. RediscoverJamaica.com.
Listen me. Come rediscover Jamaica, the heartbeat of the world. Because tourism is the lifeblood of our country, and it is an important industry. We want every Jamaican to support we. From Niggle Point go straight back to Porty. You are we number one priority. We are do everything to secure your safety. Tell it to your neighbor, family and friends. Join us and start feel good again. Come join us and feel good again.
Jamaican heartbeat.
Jamaica. Come join us and feel good again.
Can you feel it?
Sure. Come join us and feel good again.
Jamaican heartbeat.
Love it. Come join us and feel good again.
Heartbeat of the world.
So we're cooling out at the bar with some fresh drink mixes. What drink are you going to recommend?
Our specialty, the Blue Lagoon. It is named after the famous Blue Lagoon, which is right across from Goblin. I'm not going to tell you the ingredients. You have to come and try it for yourself.
AC feels good to be out and about. And today we're on location at the Acai Cafe. Hi Kerry, how does it feel to be out and about?
It feels amazing.
Nice. So what are some of your favorite activities to do on our island?
Chasing waterfalls, scuba diving, and of course, just chilling on the beach.
It's time to feel good again. Rediscover Jamaica. There are tons of hidden gems. Staycation, staycation, staycation.
So me say greetings, welcome to one and all, to our land of scat, reggae and dancehall. Come we go beach, river and waterfall, make we have a lot of fun until the nightfall. Full of vibe, eat something with a drink in your hand, jerk chicken, bread, food, roast fish, yellow yam. This is for all Jamaicans, every boy, every girl, enjoy Jamaica, the heartbeat of the world. Come join us and feel good again.
Jamaican heartbeat.
Jamaica. Come join us and feel good again.
Can you feel it?
Come join us and feel good again.
Jamaican heartbeat.
Love it. Come join us and feel good again.
Heartbeat of the world.
Listen me.
We as a party must reflect on the fact that we as a party must reflect on the fact that as the greatest social movement in the Caribbean, we have laid the foundations for prosperity for Jamaica. It is we, the Jamaica Labour Party, that built 126 primary schools to take our children from
Dr. Gale, so we're always in the election mood. So I had to just squeeze that one in. Good night, everybody. We're out.
North Central Clarendon. We
not North Central Clarendon. Oh boy, how about this?
One bag of gold medal pan me now. Champion boy, you know the damn thing.
Labor rights! Make no mistake about it. It is us who must save this country. We have a duty to ourselves. We have a duty to our children. We have a duty to our brothers and sisters. We have a duty to the elderly to save this country from poverty. Austerity can take you so far. It is time for a break. It is time for a stimulus to truly get this economy moving. And we must take the message of Audley Shaw. We must take the message of Andrew Holness to the Jamaican people and tell them that better is coming. Tell them that prosperity is near. Tell them that the PNP is gone, gone, gone. Labour and
Dr. Gale is so right. Dr. Gale is a boy with always the election mood. And people of Jamaica is always in election mood. Blessings, everybody. Thank you all for joining us. It was a pleasure bringing this to you tonight. It's a marathon show, and we are out. Thank you. Good night.